I hope Eddie hears this and knows how much I love him.
Yeah. What's going on, Pearl Jam nerds? You're listening to Single Podcast Theory. I'm Brad Lyons.
And I'm Brad Blazek.
Welcome to episode 50.
Ooh. Big 5-0.
It like doesn't mean anything.
I know.
You know?
I know.
It's like the year is the important one, I think. But it is our 50th episode. And it is important in the sense that, did you think we would make it 50 episodes?
No. Well, I didn't think we'd have the success that we've had. You know what I mean? I thought it'd be like a couple hundred. We might have built up to a couple hundred downloads a week by now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's, I don't know, 10 times that.
Right. Yeah,
which is insane.
It's pretty insane. So thanks to all your listeners, or all of you listeners that actually want to, all of your listeners, Brad.
Yes, all of my
yours.
personal listeners. Thank you.
No, but seriously, I mean, the fact that there's, enough people to, that just want to listen to us dipshits talk about our favorite band, that's pretty awesome. So, I
mean, hey, we were just talking. I mean, I wonder if those people would jump over to just us talking about stuff.
We were just talking about Reese Witherspoon before we started recording, right?
Mm-hmm. We were.
You never know what you're gonna get with the Brads. I bet you anything. If I really wanted to take the time, which I don't. I could take all of the extra footage, stuff that conversations have been taped, before we quote unquote officially start recording, and build like a whole nother thing out of it.
Yes. Oh, that'd be good. You should do that.
Nope. No way.
B&B bits. No way.
That sounds gross. That sounds like you're talking about someone's genitalia.
Bits of
Look at his
B&B.
bits. Man, look at his bits. Oh, God. I don't know where that voice came from. All right. Well, I think it's obvious. So we might as well just say it. You're tired.
I am.
Do I
sound tired?
You do. Yeah. I'm afraid I do too. So I'm just going to put it out there so everyone knows. Yeah. We're not being D-bags. We're just tired.
Yeah. It's been a long week. It's been hot as fuck. Yeah. Hot as bits.
Hot as bits.
And, I'm just I come home and I'm just tired. So.
Yeah, man. I'm drinking coffee right now.
Yeah. You mentioned that before. I was like, I'm going to go get some Coke or something. There's nothing. All we have is water.
Nada.
Yeah. So I tried. Did try.
Well, let's forget about the heat and the week of work that just happened.
Yes.
And let's get into some emails from our friends. How about that?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. I think you're up first, aren't you?
Am I up first?
I think you are.
I think you're right. We have an email from John Farrar.
What's up, John?
He says, Brad ×2. Another album down. You guys must be praying for the new one to come soon, or at least the 96-98 box set. Where is that thing anyway? Dude, when they came out with these box sets, 10 and then Versus and Vitology, they're so awesome. And like all I was thinking was like, I can't wait for the No Code one.
Oh, dude.
There's got to be so much cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that they're not doing it. They just wanted to do those first 3, and that was it. They're not doing like Metallica. Like Metallica has said.
Yeah, they're doing all of them.
We're doing everyone.
Right.
But I think I read that they weren't into doing that. So I'm like, fuck, man.
Well, there's still plenty of time for that to happen, man.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
I don't feel like, hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't feel like they're at the end of the band's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He goes on to say, I was tempted to skip over the Taylor Swift portion, but Amanda was great. Thank you, John. She's great. That segment actually has more to do with Pearl Jam than you might think. Back when they used to have openers, the band used to find fans in the nosebleeds who were showing their appreciation for the opening bands, like Mudhoney, the Buzzcocks, Supergrass, etc., and give them tickets close to the stage. That's pretty cool. I know a lot of bands do that, but
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially, like, you know, for that reason. Like, because usually the openers, everyone's like sitting down talking, you know?
Yeah.
But if you see that one dude in the back rocking his ass off, it's like, yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah, man.
Man. I'm so low energy. I feel terrible. I'm so sorry.
You sound great. You sound great.
Yes. All right. Avocado. I'm gonna high energy through this.
All right.
Avocado.
No.
Or nothing
No.
Oh,
I feel like you're just yelling at me now. I can't.
Okay.
I can't do that.
I'll try to.
Just be blazy.
I know. Avocado, or nothing, as we'll start calling it. The dad rock years. You guys were spot on with the classic rock influences on this. The Who on Life Wasted and Gone, Ed lifting the Nothing Is Everything line directly, Neil on the Wasted reprise, the Beatles on Parachutes, and Springsteen on Unemployable. The original version of Comatose was called Crapshoot Rapture. It had different lyrics, and they played it a few times live before the album came out. I saw a clip of this. I had never heard that before.
Not
there
either.
was a different version, but I looked it up on YouTube, and it is, it's different. The lyrics are definitely different.
That's cool.
And I posted it over on Facebook for those of you who's on Facebook. Of the Earth was written around this time as well. I would love to hear the studio version. Wish it had been on the album. Dude, Of the Earth, I love that song. I know it's kind of some people don't, but I think it's such a cool, like, jammy type song.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of demos leaked a couple years ago. You could probably do a whole episode on those. Cold Confession, Let It Ride, 2x4, all good songs. I think there was even a Stone song in there. The Hotel Room demo version of Gone is on the 06 or 07 Fan Club single. It's fantastic. I hated Comeback 2 for a long time until they used it on the TV show Friday Night Lights. I gave it another chance, and now I love it. This album just isn't weird enough. It needed something like Of the Earth to get it higher on my rankings. It barely beats Lightning Back and Backspacer for me.
Lightning Back.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's awesome. Lightning Back and Backspacer.
It barely beats Lightning Back and Bolt Spacer for me. Happy 50th, guys.
Thanks, John.
That's John Farrar. Thanks, dude. Yeah, dude. Did you ever watch Friday Night Lights?
No.
The show? I never watched that show, but the movie was really good.
Oh, yeah?
And the score was done by Explosions in the Sky. Did you ever get into them?
Yeah.
Love those dudes.
Yeah.
So
that was some of the first, of that, indie instrumental rock that I'd ever really listened to.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been
I saw them
15 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah. I saw them last year at the Ryman.
Yeah, man, they still play a lot.
Oh, man. Awesome. So fucking cool.
Yeah. I should give them another chance.
Yeah.
I like them. I just mean I haven't listened to them in a really long time.
Well, I won't. I mean, I got it. They're definitely like a certain kind of mood you got to be in to listen to them. I was listening to them on the 4th of July, watching fireworks.
That's cool. That's kind of perfect, actually. I get that.
Yeah, I know. It's so great. I love those dudes.
All right, let's see. We got another email from our friend Jeff. He says, "Hello, Brads. Thoroughly enjoyed the Nothing album episode. I do have a few thoughts about it. Life Wasted. I heard or read an interview with Stone recently where he said that Life Wasted was his favorite riff that he ever wrote. But like you guys said, it really has two different riffs. Both are great. Gone. I heard a concert on Sirius Pearl Jam Radio where Ed gave a little introduction to this song. This was in New Jersey, and he said that on the Riot Act tour, he was trying to relearn the song Atlantic City by Springsteen so he could play it on the tour. He was having trouble with it for some reason, and somehow stumbled into the melody for Gone. Thought that was interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I've heard of that happening before, actually. And it's weird how, like, I don't usually cover songs, but sometimes when I find myself finding something and rearranging the cover that turns into another, like, a song for me, if that makes any sense. Just from exploring that someone else's song, you know what I mean? It's kind of a cool little experiment. Army Reserve, just wanted to note the outstanding bass line in this song. Love Jeff's playing here. It really stands out, as does Matt's work. You, talking to Brad B here, should focus on the rhythm section of this one. It is killer. That is true. It's pretty cool rhythm. I never thought about it that way.
I definitely will, because that's usually what I do when I don't like a song so much, but I try to find something in it that I like. I usually, like, in my mind, like, listen to Matt and Jeff.
Yeah, you kind of can't go wrong with that, I would think.
Yeah.
He says, wasted reprise, not filler.
Filler.
Not filler, in my opinion. Especially live when it precedes Life Wasted. It makes a perfect intro. See, I agree with that. And I
do too, but I don't think they ever do it.
No.
They usually play it and then play something else.
Yeah. It's usually like their live nod to that song without playing it.
Right. Exactly.
But I don't have a problem with it. Like, I don't skip it on the record or anything, but it does make more sense to me as like this cool, like, down chorus intro into the song. You know what I mean? What'd you say?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
You said makes sense to you, makes more sense to you, and I said it makes much more sense.
Oh, bud. That was a little too out there.
Well, that's what I hear every time I hear somebody say that, and this is the only
stuff like that too.
venue I have where I can actually say it. Yes.
Oh God, I love it. We got another note about Come Back here. He says, I was relieved to hear that you both loved this song. It may be my favorite on this record, and it took on extra special meaning after my dad died. What a beautiful song. That's all for now. Thanks for letting me vent. I'm a big podcast guy, and SPT has become my favorite. Thanks again. Well, thank you, Jeff.
Dude, that is such a compliment, because I am too. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so to hear that this is somebody's favorite, like, I just can't even. I can't even.
But seriously,
thank you, Clint. Jeff.
Yeah. You're about to hear that a lot, guys. I'm just prepping you for our lovely conversation that's coming later. Thanks, Jeff. What you got?
Matt writes in, hey guys, love the episode on nothing. I love that everyone is on board with my nothing.
Picked up what Brad B was putting down.
Yeah, I love it. I remember getting it in the mail from 10 Club the Friday before its release date, and I was so stoked. I was reading on the message board all day at work that 10 Club members were getting it, and was hoping like hell when I got home that it would be there. Sure enough, it was there. I gave it 2 or 3 listens at home and then went to a friend's to give it another couple listens. The days when I had that kind of time.
No shit.
While it ranks higher as an album for me than it does the both of you, I think that you hit the nail on the head with it being a bit forgettable. I absolutely love most of this album, but for whatever reason, I rarely go back to it if I want to listen to a full album. It's weird because Worldwide Suicide, Marker in the Sand, you guys are wrong on this one, by the way. Parachutes and Army Reserve are some of my favorites by Pearl Jam. And I always forget how much I dig Big Wave, such a rockin' fun song. For me, it's the first time on an album that there is a song that I absolutely cannot stand. Unemployable. I can never get into this song and probably never will, and I can't put my finger on exactly why this is. Maybe it has to do with
Yeah. There you go, bud.
Did I do it?
Oh, yeah.
Did I do it good?
God, it was beautiful.
Nobody knows what song I'm talking about. It sounds like a bad pop song. Definitely a skipper. You are wrong on this one, Matt.
Yeah. I
don't hate it. Cannot stand it. Yeah. But I don't love it either, but I like it.
I like it.
I do remember it taking me seeing Gone live in Cleveland '06 to really love this one. When I was first listening to the album, I felt that I should love this song, but it was just so to me and I didn't know why. Once I saw it live, it totally clicked. It's strange how that happens sometimes with this band. Take care, guys. Matt.
Awesome.
Yeah, that does happen quite a bit with me. If I hear something live, it just something...
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes.
Something falls into place.
It's like come back for me. I mean, I wasn't in person live, but watching that picture in a frame definitely changed my mind on that one.
Yeah. Well, and I was looking for videos to post over on Facebook, and I found one of Marker in the Sand. And I'm like, this is really good. It was a live version. I'm like, this is really... I like this.
Yeah, know? Right.
Well,
I can't remember which one it is, but sometimes that's... And it makes sense for a band like Pearl Jam. Sometimes I feel like their songs will always translate live because that's what they do. You know what I mean? Like they play as a band and jam as a band and write as a band, you know. Not every song, but they know how to work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so sometimes I've noticed that because I spent so long not really digging into bootlegs anymore, now that I've kind of gotten back into it, it's helped me with certain songs that make total sense live that I was kind of like about on the record, you know. It's like it's the element that those are supposed to exist in, the live thing, you know. I don't know. That's how I feel. All right, cool. Let's move on to Kate Cotton. She says...
That's Coco. This is Coco Cotton.
Coco? What does
we
that
changed
mean?
her name.
Oh, God. What have I missed by not being online?
She was... Clint, actually, was doing a live Instagram on the Metal Up Your Podcast account, and we were talking about Pearl Jam, and she mentioned that one of the drummers was Coco, and something about Coco. I can't even remember exactly what it was. It was like, I was obviously a typo, but
okay.
Like I just went off and was like, oh yeah, Coco was my favorite Pearl Jam drummer.
Coco,
and, yeah,
he had a sick that Coco had a sick groove.
Yes, dude. So, and it was, you know, it's just stupid comments. We were going back and forth about Coco, and it was so sad what happened to him. I wish he could have got his shit together in the end. So
yeah, that poor Coco.
We've changed her name to Coco.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with Kate for right now because I don't know that I totally understand all this.
Aren't inside jokes the funniest?
Nope, not when you're on the outside, like every one of our listeners right now, including me and one of the hosts. Oh man! All right, so Kate. I'm going to continue to call her by her Christian name.
All right.
Just a quick note about Severed Hand and the lyrics. I'm not an Avocado expert because I actually only listened to the full album for the first time within this year. But I do kind of remember what Ed talked about before they started playing it in Amsterdam. She says I can't find a video of it on the tube. He heavily insinuated that the song was about being under the influence of some heavy psychedelic drugs, or something of the sort. And then he talked about that time Jeff kind of went missing for 24 hours while he was on drugs. I can't remember it super clearly. Maybe someone else who was on at the show could explain it better than me. I just remember being surprised when he started talking about that, because as far as I know, the influence of their music doesn't typically come from that place. I'm not judging, it just seemed out of the ordinary to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I mean, I think we made a reference about, like, someone was on some sort of psychedelics with those lyrics. And then she writes, actually, the lyric we talked about, which was... she says, although I think it would explain a lot of the lyrics, particularly, you'll see dragons after 3 or 4. I said, yeah. She says, I'd like to send another email with further thoughts on Avocado as a whole, but because, of course, I have stuff to say. We'll see when I get around to that. Okay, bye. Peace and love, Kate. Yeah, man. As far as I know, I don't really care, but I've always kind of thought they were like they just smoked weed. They're pretty like tame band as far as the drugs went. Yeah. Maybe some mushrooms. I mean, if someone disappears for 24 hours, that's usually some sort of, psilocybin, LSD, peyote kind of situation.
Yeah.
That happened to a dude I worked with in college. He decided to try peyote and do, like, we knew he was doing it, and he had like a week off of work. So part of his vacation, he was going to try out peyote and just kind of like sit with his thoughts, which I say that as a joke, but I'm not really making fun of it. But it, you know, you got to know what's going on, and because there's prohibition on drugs, you can't. It's not regulated. Like, you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You know, there's no one to talk to about what the right dosage is for what you want to do, because that stuff will break your brain if you don't know what you're doing. And it got broke for he was gone for his whole vacation and then didn't come back for like another 2 weeks because he just kind of went away for a while.
Oops.
That shit's no joke.
Damn.
I don't need that kind of fun. I already feel insane. I don't need that kind of fun in my life. I never heard that, though, about Jeff disappearing.
Yeah, I
don't remember
haven't
that
either. No,
I mean, it doesn't surprise
either.
me, but yeah, anyway, as far as I know, it's just, I mean, I know Eddie smokes weed. I mean, there's old videos of, like that one video, I think it's in PJ20, where for some reason the bus must have broken down on the side of the interstate, and Stone is standing at the entrance to the tour bus smoking a joint on the side of the road.
Right.
Like, well, that's ballsy.
Right.
Because it's not like now, you know, he could have been in California or something, but, you know, in the 90s, should get you in jail.
Wouldn't it be weird to tell our grandkids about how weed was outlawed?
Yeah.
And like how underground it was, and people were going to jail and shit.
Just for having some weed.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, like, don't you think like in 10 years it'll be like 90% legal in the U.S.?
Dude, I think it's going to happen real fast, actually.
Even quicker than that? Yeah.
Yeah, just like, you know, when I do keep up with the news, there's been a lot of stories on it, it seems like. Like, I don't go looking for the stories, but I also want to read the stories that don't have to do with the president or something. Right. You know, so anything that's not that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to read this. But, I mean, Oklahoma just did it.
It comes up in Tennessee all the time. And that's what blown my mind, because I figured, well, the South is going to be like the final holdouts, like in 10 or 20 years. But I don't know. I think it might.
I mean, we'll probably be at the tail end of it, but I think it'll happen quicker than, because it's all based on, a lot of it for the politicians is based on all the polling, and it's jumped to like, I think it's like, I mean, don't quote me, but I'm not too far off. I think it's like 65% of Americans, based on polling, are like, fuck it, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, legalize it. We can all make some, you know, some money from it.
That's my thing. The money, they're gonna make money like crazy, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. I don't have a lot of facts on it, but I would imagine that yes, it would probably bring in a lot of tax revenue.
You're the biggest weed head I know.
I'm such a weed head. Although we have just spent 5 minutes unintentionally talking about marijuana legislation, which the reason why I say that is because, you know, when you talk about legislation and stuff, it's like, I hate it when people just kind of like throw shit out, and even if they don't know the facts,
know what they're talking
you know
about.
What I mean?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is like, I don't know the facts, but
yeah.
Anyway, that might be one of the most random tangents we've been on.
Yeah, man. Maybe we're on the weed.
Oh, you're on the weed. I love that you said weed head. I don't think I've ever heard that. All my friends that are stoners, I'm just going to start calling them weed heads. And then they'll make fun of me, and I'll never say it again. All right. Thanks, Kate.
All right. Hold on 1 second. I have technical.
Oh, no.
We're good.
Okay.
No, my battery said it was low, but now it's back on. Did you see that she like tagged Janan in that, and Janan
wrote back?
Said, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't remember.
Did you want?
No. If you want to talk about something, go for it, because I don't.
Yeah.
What's
all
up?
Right. Are we back? You gonna leave all that in?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had technical difficulties. No, Janan had wrote back saying that she read on the message board that hold on, let me see. We're just doing this on the fly. She's talking about where she heard Eddie talking about Jeff in the and like doing drugs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And somebody on the message board said that after Even Flow at Amsterdam Night 1, he talks about the next song being about being handed an unknown drug, and tells a story about Jeff getting high in Amsterdam while making the first record. And he ended up sleeping on a curb.
Oh, God.
So, and then he praises legalization in Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
So
that's funny. Speaking of Janan, I think
yes,
she's our last email for the day.
She is.
What you got?
She says, "Hi guys, I hope you're doing fine. I finished the Avocado episode yesterday. Bradley's slide whistle cracked me up. Thank God I was at home this time."
Oh yeah, she was like on the bus or something.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I don't know why I thought you didn't have it. God.
Because I didn't break it out right away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You really waited.
Yes, I was waiting.
Lots of patience was exhibited there.
Oh, dude, I listened to that like 4 or 5 times. It made me laugh so hard.
I bet it did. It scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm one of those people. Like, I just like make myself laugh over the stupidest shit, and everyone thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, you're the funniest guy you know.
Exactly. Yeah. What's that Nirvana lyric? Oh, he says something about. Fuck. I wish I could remember it. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad you brought it up then.
Yeah. Oh. He says something about I'm easily amused. I wish I was like you, easily amused.
Wait, you lost me. What are you talking about?
Nirvana. Kurt Cobain says, "I wish I was like you, easily amused." Isn't that the line?
That sounds right.
That's like I'm when I heard that, I'm like, "Oh, that's a thing?" Like there's people that are labeled easily amused? Cuz that's me. I laugh at every stupid thing.
Made you feel less alone?
Yes, I'm easily amused.
That's not true.
But
that is so just not true.
Are you sure, dude?
Yeah.
Because look it.
I think you're
that makes me laugh. Like it's so stupid.
Well, that's just because you're dumb. Chicago.
All right, I'll stop. Janan goes on to say, "Thanks for another great episode again. As I mentioned earlier, this album is very special for me because Worldwide Suicide was one of the first Pearl Jam songs I've ever listened to. And if I'm not wrong, its video was the first Pearl Jam video I've ever seen. So it was a representation of... Sorry. So it was as representative of Pearl Jam for me, just as Alive, Jeremy, and Even Flow were." I hope I said all that right. "I remember watching Worldwide Suicide's video for the first time and thinking that it was the coolest song I've ever heard. Around 2004 and 5, I started listening to The Doors and Led Zeppelin and other great rock legends, but Pearl Jam looked like more sophisticated and intellectual than all of those other bands, based on what I read about Pearl Jam in music magazines. It was similar to Audioslave, but even more challenging because Pearl Jam seemed like it was talking about more serious issues, like politics and war. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to the album back then. Maybe I was intimidated by the band's sophistication. I wasn't much into politics at that period, and maybe it wasn't the right time for me. I guess the fact that Backspacer was my first Pearl Jam album tells me something about my personality in the time being. Me being nostalgic about Worldwide Suicide is not the only reason I love this album. I agree with you on the fact that Avocado doesn't have many big songs, but as a unit, it is a great album. I don't remember skipping any songs on that album ever, and opposed to what you think, I think this album gets better and better with every song. I like its second part better, starting with Parachutes, and it has a perfect ending with Comeback and Inside Job. I want to say that I I don't understand why you don't like the studio version of Inside Job. Its intro is what makes it great. You should listen to it with headphones in the still of the night. You should listen to every detail of that song to appreciate it more. I recently read a comment about it on a website that person says that Inside Job is Pearl Jam's Stairway to Heaven, regarding that these two songs are built on slow beginnings and powerful endings.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Chanon's got a way with words, man. Last week there was the annual graduation ceremony at the institute I'm currently working at. I was asked to make a playlist for the ceremony because it was small and intimate thing held in the yard of the institute's building. It has a very beautiful sea view. I added some Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder songs to that playlist. When Parachutes was playing, one of the employees at the institute danced with her daughter until the song ended. I was looking at them, and it was a magical moment for me. Even though they didn't know the song, they seemed like they were enjoying it very much. And hearing Pearl Jam songs playing loudly in that place was a completely different experience for me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
That's it for now, and I'm looking forward to hearing the 50th episode. Take care and talk to you soon. Best, Janan.
Thanks, Janan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love that story about parachutes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
yeah,
that is a pretty. That's a cool song that you can. That's the kind of song that you could like throw on, like in any kind of setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And people wouldn't be like, "Oh God, it's a rock band." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
there's something light about it to it. Yeah,
quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Janan. Man, can you believe? I remember when we just barely knew Janan, and she sent in that Yellow Moon post on her blog, and yeah, man, 50 episodes in, and she's still with us. A lot of people are. So thanks all of you guys that have ever written in, or just listen, or whatever it is you do. Thanks for being a part of the crew. All right, so let's introduce the rest of the podcast. So, like I said, kind of in the beginning, it's episode 50, which doesn't really mean anything, but like I said earlier, it's just kind of like, I can't believe we still have, you know, a reason to keep doing this, I guess. Which, I don't know, it's like, I didn't think we'd have enough listeners, like you said earlier, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know, so it's been really cool. So we want to do something a little bit special for this one. That's two things. One, we haven't had a proper Eddie episode. We'll get to that in a second. But also,
I don't know if we still have yet.
Yeah, well, okay, so let's just get straight to that.
That's what we're trying to get at. Our guest,
you all know if you've been listening to this podcast. One, because we talk about him a lot, because Brad B and Clint are friends, and that's how me and Brad B got together, and that's why this podcast is here. Clint is also my best friend. I've known him for a long time. Been through a lot of life with him and music, and yeah, he's also one of the hosts and creators of Metal Up Your Podcast, one of our favorite music podcasts. So he's our guest. Big thank you to him. As far as the episode, it's just, I was all stressed out. I don't know if you were, Brad, but like, how do we do an Eddie episode? And then I finally was like, fuck it, you can't cover all of this topic or this person in one episode, unless it's going to be like a 6-hour episode. So this is kind of, go ahead.
There's just so much to try and dig into, and what angle do you come at it from? And an hour, which you'll hear, an hour is not enough time to even scratch the surface. No. And we went, 2 hours? 2
hours, and we didn't scratch. I don't think you know what I mean?
Yeah, we just kind of talked about, we kind of meandered around different aspects of his life and music, and, you know.
But I do like, because we kind of meandered around, like you're saying, like, I think even the tangential, most of them anyway, conversations are still, you know, meaningful, because they kind of sprung off the platform of talking about Eddie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, I think that kind of explains it. But
I will say we had kind of a rough outline of what we wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. And that came directly from our patrons. So I want to thank those people that got back to us and gave us like ideas for this show.
Absolutely.
So Janan was one of them. John Farrar had wrote in. Aurelian and Chris Davidson. They all sent us some great like ideas and stuff to talk about. And I hope we got to most of you guys what you wrote in to have us talk about. I think we hit most of them.
I think we did. Yeah. We'll have more episodes on Eddie down the road. So
yeah.
Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We had a really good time meeting up in Nashville, and it was cool. We Clint did this episode with us, and we were on Metal Up Your Podcast. So if you'd like to hear that, Brad and I were both on their episode 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Brad,
right?
Fifth Wheel Blazek.
Oh, shut up. So you can check that out. Again, that's Metal Up Your Podcast. But let's just get to our conversation with Clint. You done with that?
I just wanted to say real quick, speaking of Patreon, we got a new patron this week.
Yeah, we did.
Shane Williams.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. If you want to support Single Podcast Theory, you can go to patreon.com and search, what is it, patreon.com/Single Podcast Theory, or just search, just go to search Single Podcast Theory. And if you can't, that's fine too. Just keep listening and emailing to us, and but we appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. No, it really does mean a lot. It's we don't take it lightly, so thanks to all of you guys. All right, well, let's get to it. You down?
I'm down.
All right, this is
with the clown.
This is the
From
Bradlingtons. Oh God. Conversation with Mr. Clint Wells about our beloved Eddie Vedder. Here you go. All right, we're back with Clint Wells, Eddie Vedder episode. What's up, Clint?
What's up, boys?
Hey, man.
Thanks for having us in your home again.
I'm delighted to once again be on Single Podcast Theory.
Hell yeah, man. We got a lot of good feedback from the No Code episode.
Well, there was my mom, my aunt, my cousin, Skiff.
I mean, that's basically all of our listeners.
Skeeter.
Well, all the ones that liked me, liked my grumpy ass.
Not true, man. You met Kate, right?
I did meet Kate.
That was cool.
Yep.
Before us.
Yeah,
I
before
did.
us.
Yeah. I was playing up in New York where she lives, and she came out to a show, and it was nice. She didn't know anything about the artists I play for, and she didn't know anything or like anything about Metallica. So it was an interesting combo.
Where were you? Where in New York were you? Were you upstate
I don't
or
want
what?
to bum her out, but I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
It wasn't like a fancy city. She drove, her and her cousin drove like 40 minutes. I mean, it was cool. She came and sat on the bus, and we didn't even talk about Pearl Jam that much. We didn't know each other, so we kind of just got to know each other, and she's real sweet. And I've of course heard about her all over the show.
Yeah, sure.
And her adventures with Janan, I've followed.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Getting the tambourine.
Yeah.
That set list was bitchin'.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Red Mosquito being one that stuck out to me as like,
hell yeah.
oof.
They played it again last night.
Yeah.
Red Mosquito. Seems like there's something else
They played UR 2 or 3 times.
They played Severed Hand at least twice, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's interesting. The set list, I know we're kind of just jumping into this, but I was reading like the London one. I know they canceled another one, but been reading some of these set lists, and like they're not really heavy on Lightning Bolt. They're not really promoting anything.
Right.
So it's a really good time to see them, it seems like, because Greatest Hits isn't really the right term, but the set lists are fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it's like some of the most exciting set lists since when they did the all the bootlegs around Binaural.
Right.
Remember when they released all those?
Yeah.
Those were some pretty
great
exciting
sets.
set lists.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that again.
Yeah.
Whereas when they were like heavy on Lightning Bolt or Avocado or Backspacer, even though I like 2 of those 3 records a lot, it didn't feel like those sets weren't as exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they had to do One Thought Known, or they had to do Fixer or Worldwide Suicide. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These feel loose.
Well, and they're not even doing Can't Deny Me every show, I don't think, are they?
You know what?
I feel like there was 1 or 2.
At the time
I could
we're
be wrong,
recording
but
this, last night they played in Paducah,
Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah,
Paducah.
Paducah.
That's what
That would
I
be
was
awesome.
They went from the Zico Dome to the Tequila Cowboy, the Tequila Rose in Paducah. But I submit to you, and I don't want to bum your listeners out here at the get-go, they're not playing it at every show because I don't think it was received very well by fans.
How did you receive it?
I don't like it very much.
Okay.
I don't hate it. It's like most things with the band. Like, I don't think any of us really truly hate any of Pearl Jam's work. But, it didn't excite me. And then it was kind of the news after it was like, oh, there isn't really a record even done yet.
That bummed me out. Yeah. That kind of took the steam out of
it. Just made it feel like, what's this like one-off single?
Well, it says in the notes for it that it's from the forthcoming album. So I was all excited that, oh shit, we're getting a record announcement in a few weeks.
Right.
And that's going back a few months, and I think it's Stone and Jeff have both been interviewed.
Jeff kind of bummed everyone out about it.
Yeah, it won't be till next year. So,
yeah, it's for the upcoming record that's coming out in 2026.
Right, exactly. Totally. Yeah. Which for me, like, I wasn't just bowled over by the tune. It made me feel like, oh, well, they're going to do all these big summer shows and hopefully write some material they're real excited about. And maybe that tune will get bumped off.
Yeah. That is a good point that I haven't thought about, though, and then we'll get to talking about Eddie, but this is going to be Tangent City anyway, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But even with my quote-unquote least favorite records, like Avocado, I've completely turned the corner on Backspacer. But for a while, Backspacer was one of my least favorite records. But even the singles from those records, I was excited about.
Oh, big time.
Even though I didn't, and I still like those singles as far as, picking stuff off those records. But now that I think about it, I wouldn't put Can't Deny Me above any of those singles.
I mean, I remember when Nothing As It Seems came out, and all my hard rock friends were bummed, and I was like, I like this.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because Nothing As It Seems to me sounded like nothing they'd done before. That, like, minory.
And chromatic walk down, kind of bass, creepy shit.
Just super weird Jeff song. Yeah. And that was the fucking single.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I Am Mine came out, which I know you're not a huge fan.
Yeah.
But similar deal. All my friends were like, the vocal never takes off, and he sings it this low thing, and I was like, well, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I liked Fixer. I liked Worldwide Suicide.
Yeah,
I mean, and maybe I'm just in a different season too of life where, because I focus on the Metallica thing so much, and maybe it just didn't. Maybe I'm getting older and aging out of it a little bit. I don't know.
It'll be interesting when they play Can't Deny Me in the States to see the crowd reaction.
I think that might be part of why I don't like it too, is like, I'm all about anti-Trump shit. I hate that motherfucker. Right. He disgusts me and horrifies me and scares me. But, we had Jim Florentine on our show, and he made a really good point where he was like, when your plumber is making Trump jokes.
Right.
This is sort of the boredom surrounding political criticism. Mm-hmm. And I know that Eddie's not a comedian, and part of what we love about him is his, which we're going to get into, all his politics. Yeah. I mean, when he was writing pro-choice on his arm at Unplugged, he was like my hero.
That's what I don't get about people that criticize them now for a song like Can't Deny Me. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, where have you been?
They
have always been that band.
I remember going to the Riot Act tour in 2003 in Birmingham, and the news people were out there interviewing us in the GA line, because he had just impaled the Bush mask on the microphone in Vegas or something.
Right.
And even then, people were like, we just wish he would shut the fuck up and play the song Go or whatever.
Yeah.
I see both sides of it.
I do too.
But I like it when my artists report back, and sometimes I don't agree with them, and I'm with you. It's kind of what makes Eddie great. Mm-hmm. But the Trump thing feels so different, and so, like, with Bush, it was like, oh, the war sucks.
Right.
He's an asshole. With Trump, it's like the whole world feels different, and a 3-minute angry song by a bunch of 55-year-olds is like,
yeah.
I don't know,
dude. I
dude.
think the whole nature of, in art and everything, how the shape that protest kind of takes, I think, is different. Or maybe I'm just seeing it different from when I was a kid to now as an adult.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you, like, I loved it on Unplugged when he wrote that shit on his arm and spoke his mind. And now for me, I think 9.9 times out of 10 he's ever spoken out about anything. I agree with him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But regardless, like, it doesn't bum me out. I don't know. That's what I love about the band is Eddie and that he's really connected to what he sings. Mm-hmm. and it's necessary for him to put out the energy that he puts out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
you just can't separate the two.
It'd be real weird if he was like, I'm no longer going to comment on current political climate.
Right.
He'd be like, whoa, that'd be
Yeah.
weird too. Here's where I think it is. I'm not tempted to like it automatically because it's an anti-Trump song.
Right. Right.
I don't want to fall into that shit either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to just like it because it's Pearl Jam. I don't want to just like it because it's ideologically where I stand.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, the tune,
Stand on its own
at
merits
the end
as
of
a
the day, I
song.
like the tune or not.
Yeah.
I like the song Bush Leaguer a lot. I love that song.
Yeah.
And that was obviously a super politically charged song. So
Right. And the whole, and the whole band, it seems like is very like-minded to Eddie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never heard anyone in the band throw him under the bus as far as a political statement or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I think they're probably all pretty aligned. I definitely wouldn't want to speak out if I wasn't. I want to be that Dave Abersees.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Modern Drummer called, and I'm gonna be on Modern Drummer. They're like, well, that's gonna cost you the entire career.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Right.
I'll just not do the Modern Drummer cover.
Yeah.
I think when we get into Eddie's work, I think I do respond more to his personal songs.
Yeah.
The more inward stuff. That's more interesting to me.
Right.
And I think that's probably why I like the middle records so much.
Yeah.
You know?
That's when you talking about, like, what do you mean by middle, like no code, binaural, that era, or?
Yeah, like, I'd rather hear Immortality than Worldwide Suicide.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or I'd rather hear, Just Breathe than, Bush Leaguer.
Right.
I like all those songs, but I like when he looks inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think that's why I fell in love with him as a lyricist. It took me a little bit longer to get on board quickly with something like a Bush Leaguer, which I like the song, but those kind of songs took a little bit more time for me to kind of fall in love with than something like Immortality. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff's really automatic for me.
Yeah, the stuff where he's more like emotional and talking about that kind of stuff, that's how I am. Like,
Yeah.
that's what turned me on to them is the lyrics where he's talking about inward stuff, and not political stuff.
Well, and that's the stuff that's easier to make your own as well.
Yeah.
It's not so on the nose as far as lyric.
I think the political stuff was more fun when we were younger, to go back to the pro-choice thing on the arm, which I've aligned myself with that political side as much as I've understood it.
Sure.
It always made sense to me. But maybe like WMA was exciting because I didn't really understand what he was talking about.
Right.
So it was very mysterious. As I've gotten older and I sort of understand the sort of crushing political feels like futility and stuff, those songs are a little more like, they remind me of the bad news.
All right.
And I'm less hopeful that a 4-minute song can turn those things around.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's my problem.
Right.
And I'm not even saying it's true. It's just that's my cynicism as I'm aging. I'll be 86
In a week.
next week. So
All right. Well, let's kind of because we're gonna revisit probably a bunch of the stuff we could just kind of touched on, but start with the basics. It feels so weird doing an Eddie episode and covering basics because
There's so much to get into.
Well, there's so much to get into, and I think the type of people that are going to listen to a Pearl Jam
know all
podcast
this or most of the
know
stuff.
what his real name is,
Right.
and about his family or whatever. But his birth name is Edward Lewis. I'm going to call him Louis. I just like Louis. But Severson III in Evanston, Illinois, December 23rd. I don't think I ever noticed that before. Fucking Christmas, baby.
Well, I noticed that Evanston, you and I have played in Evanston. There's a venue there called Space.
Yeah.
Which I never connected those
I never
dots.
connected that either.
It's like a suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
But it's kind of its own little thing. Like, if you go and play that market, you play in Evanston. You don't play at, like, Shuba's or something.
Right.
They have a cool venue there.
And you don't say you're playing Chicago, I don't think.
No. Well, if you want to sound cooler than you are,
Right,
maybe
exactly.
you do. Yeah, we're hitting
The old
Chicago.
tour trick.
Yeah, totally.
The locals hate that, though.
I bet they do.
They hate when you say, "Oh, I'm from Chicago." Oh yeah, where? You know where Evanston is? You ain't from Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, Napersville.
Right.
They're like, what?
That ain't
Fuck
Chicago.
that. That's Napersville.
Yeah.
Do you consider
But-
yourself a Chicagoing? or whatever you people
No,
call yourselves.
But see, the thing is, for me, like living here, if I was to say, "Oh, I'm from Mundelein," they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No,
so
that sounds like a South
I just
African
say Chicago.
Canoeing community.
Right. I just tell people I'm from Chicago because they know that.
Yeah.
But I cringe inside because if I was up there, I would never say.
I'm going to tell them all. I'm going to tell them all what you do.
Yeah, it's like, I do the same thing. Like with my parents, it's like the equivalent of.
You tell your parents
you
you're
wouldn't
from
know
Chicago.
this. It's like for us being from
Mom
Birmingham, the bigger market stuff like comes through Birmingham, quote unquote, but they're playing in Pelham, which is outside of Birmingham. Right. But I'm not gonna say. I'm going to say Birmingham. Yeah. I'm not going to explain to someone where Pelham is.
Well, and here's what I don't have a lot of patience for these days is if I'm like, oh, I'm from Birmingham. Oh, where'd you go to high school? Pelham High School. That's not Birmingham. Okay. That's fine. Do you really want to argue about that right now? He didn't say it right. That's 20 miles south of Birmingham. Really? You and I are on the fast track to being best friends.
That's the Chicago people.
Man.
Mundelein? That ain't Chicago.
Mundelein. That's South Africa.
Right.
I just see you standing on like a totem pole with like face paint on. You have to stand there for 7 days before you can become a man.
With nothing but a Metallica shirt on.
With a dream catcher.
How much cultural appropriation can we cram into the next 90 seconds?
Probably a lot.
We can go there. We've got some outtakes.
That's true.
So do you feel a connection to Eddie? I know you're not from Chicago.
Yeah.
You do.
Is that weird?
I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I totally do. And the whole thing with being a Cubs fan and being from Chicago, quote unquote, like I always just felt a special thing because of that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Totally.
How far out of Chicago were you?
Like 30 miles north.
Okay, cool. I can never remember how far it was.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, obviously, we are going to cover or talk about this because it does play directly into how he got to where he was and a lot of his songs, just his home life growing up, right? Like, his parents divorced like right after he was born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think less than a year after he was born. And then obviously grew up thinking that guy was the family friend or friend of his parents.
Because he'd come around.
Yeah. Every once in a while he said he'd met him a few times, but he was always introduced, Eddie's biological father was always introduced as just a friend of his parents. And one thing I don't think I ever realized was that his parents were foster parents.
Mm-hmm. They fostered like 8 kids, 8 younger kids in the house.
Well, and they had 3 kids of their own.
Right.
With Eddie's actual stepdad.
Right.
But he thought those were all his siblings.
Yeah, I just wonder, like,
that'd have to be a pretty weird upbringing. Like, a house full of kids that, I mean, it's a noble, cool thing. It says a lot about his parents, but that would be odd to grow up with a bunch of kids in your house that really weren't your siblings.
If it's in your DNA at all to be a loner, that kind of just amps it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
And you're just on a primal level, like competing with a lot of other kids for resources and attention, and that can create a loner mentality.
Right. I'm just trying to picture high school Eddie, like what he looked like. I don't know that I've ever seen like high school pictures of Eddie. I feel like I've seen like when he's like 10 or stuff like that. But
there's an article in Rolling Stone from '96 where they went back and like interviewed some of his classmates.
Oh, really?
And they kind of paint a shitty picture of him. Like the article is like, well, today's Eddie Vedder puts off such a like loner.
Well, because I've read that he was popular actually in high school.
He was like a drama kid in the plays,
and he was a surfer,
real popular.
He's a good-looking
dude. Cute, but.
And he was an artist, you know.
If you read the quotes from the classmates, they're all like saying he was nice, and
I'm sure he was.
But the way the article is written is like they're trying to twist it into like
it was a hit piece.
It's an act.
Yeah.
But I know that Rolling Stone, it was a total hit piece.
Totally.
Oh, grunge bad boy. Yeah. Actually had an okay.
He's just acting.
Had an okay high school experience. He had friends. Yeah. He got laid.
But the funny thing is, he's never talked about anything to the contrary, right?
That was all created against his wishes anyway.
Right.
Like, and how many times on the show have we talked about, like, using Unplugged as an example? Like, that was one of our early episodes, and I hadn't watched it in a really long time. But I realized, like, oh my God, he's so, like, happy and kind of energetic and whatever. I feel like it's the fame that turned all that off as far as outwardly.
Well, I think
that
the lyrics
pushed him in more.
The lyrics are pretty rough.
Sure.
He was like a great performer and stuff, and seemed really sweet and stuff. But I think they combined the narrative they wanted, which they were like combining him with Kurt Cobain, who was kind of publicly this is all stupid and all that stuff. I think they were just looking for a narrative to fulfill, like the Time magazine thing that he didn't want to be on, and they did it anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Or he didn't want Black to be a single because it was too personal, which I kind of roll my eyes at some of this. But the radio DJs of the world took it upon themselves, and it became like a number 3 Billboard hit.
Oh, and he held Better Man back for however many years because it was too personal.
Right. Which I thought he wrote that like in high school.
He did. But he didn't give it over to the band, and like Brendan had to kind of like pull it out of his hands. You know what I mean?
The thing that was tough that despite all this, like he had friends and he was in drama stuff, is like they were putting his stepdad through law school, and so him and his mom had to like work a bunch of jobs, and he was like getting in trouble at school, which I resonate with. I had a hard time at school because I just didn't need to be there. Like as soon as I got done with high school and started touring and making music, it was like, I should have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
But he was sent to the proverbial principal's office, and they were like, "What's your deal? You're making bad grades. You're acting out. Blah blah blah." And he like opened his backpack and like handed them all their like electric bills and shit.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I have to pay these." That's why he ended up dropping out his senior year because he needed to work more to pay bills. That's nothing a kid should do, in my opinion. You're gonna do that your whole goddamn life. Let him be a kid and go to school and take drama and surf and shit. He was like doing real adult shit as a teenager.
Yeah, well, and there's the side too. It's like the difference between how you perceive yourself and the world that you're in versus how everyone else sees you. Like I had a really hard time in a lot of ways. Middle school, high school. I think middle school just sucks. I think for everybody, but high school. But when I look back, like I was popular. I had a lot of friends, but that was not me on the inside.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, I was gonna say the same exact thing. Like I felt like I was pretty shy and didn't really talk to a lot of people. But yeah, looking back,
you're just reading your old yearbook and everyone who signed in sobbing.
Yeah.
No, I remember that guy. He signed my cast once in 6th grade.
But like, I feel like, yeah, I had friends, and we did stuff, you know, and like, I've heard people comment like, I don't know, like you seemed like, you know, kind of like fun-loving guy back then,
right?
And I didn't feel like that at all.
Sure,
but. Yeah,
you're just carving Cannibal Corpse lyrics under your arm.
Yeah, but you're
secretly.
Yeah,
with a dull pencil,
with a spoon.
Well, and there's the other. I mean, the last thing I'll say about it is there's also the misunderstanding that because you get on stage in front of a lot of people, that you're like an extroverted. Like, because I'm an introvert for the most part, and being in a room of 10 people. Where I only know 3 of them is like a terror for me sometimes. But I can get on stage in front of 10,000 people and not think twice about it. Because this is a completely different thing. Well, it doesn't have to do with ego. Ego's part of it.
It's a total mind fuck.
Yeah.
Because you crave it, but then you hate it.
Hate it, yeah.
You know, and you know, I for one, and if I'm in a room like that and I need to turn it on, and sure. If for whatever reason I'm there, if I'm at a thing with my wife and at a work thing and I want to do her proud, and I can turn that shit on, no problemo. But the difference is that I find it exhausting, and I would never choose to do it as as an act of self-care. That shit's...
It's like a survival defense mechanism.
I need medicine after those kind of evenings.
Right.
Yeah. And then sometimes I can't turn it on. And I'll just go sit over here and listen to the Smiths.
You don't like the Smiths,
I'm a real...
do you like I love the Smiths.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big Johnny Marr fan.
Oh,
I mean, I don't like them as much as I like Pearl Jam, but hell yeah, I love the Smiths.
I'm a real, like, edge of a party person. Like, if I'm in a room with a bunch of people barbecuing or whatever, I'd rather be...
But what do you want to do? Do you want to be talking to the people?
Yeah.
See, my wife's like that. My wife is a shy extrovert.
But I can't.
My wife's a shy extrovert. She likes it, but she doesn't know how to get it started.
Yeah.
And...
I hate it, but I know how to get it started.
Oh, I know how to get it started. I know how to take the train all the way home. I do. I'll fucking rock it. I'll be on the bus on the verge of killing myself, and people will bring guests on the bus, and I'm like, hey, what do you want to drink? I'm like fucking in cocktail. I'm like fucking Tom Cruise.
No.
Doing moves I didn't even know I had.
I would be on the bus not wanting to kill myself, and then when I meet that person, I want to kill myself so I don't have to meet them.
Are you afraid that they won't like you?
I know they don't already.
Yeah, that's a mental problem.
Yeah. Because that's you
it's insane.
Don't know that.
Yeah, my friend Bob Schneider, he does these sort of like audience punishment things in his shows, where he just is trying to turn people off. And I played guitar for him for like 7 years, and me and him are pretty tight. So I'll talk to him about it sometimes. Like, why did you do that tonight? Why did you sing that really weird Mormon song in Salt Lake City tonight? And like 100 people left.
Right.
And his answer was, well, they already hate me. And if they don't hate me, they're going to hate me sooner than later. So let's just get it over with.
Cut to the chase.
I'm like, Bob, they bought tickets to the show because they love you.
Right.
Wake up, homie.
Yeah.
Wake
Especially
up.
when you've got like actual physical monetary proof that they love you and want to be there.
They got a babysitter. They paid for they went to dinner.
Yeah.
This is a big night.
We're going to have a big bar tab at the end of the night.
But he's kind of joking, but he really believes it though.
Right.
Why I don't understand the mentality of wanting to fuck with people like that. I get not wanting to.
It's a defense mechanism.
Like, you don't... I wouldn't say, like, well, he shouldn't be forced to try and win them over. He should just do his thing. But
you've already sort of won that
people.
You've won that battle when they've paid to see you.
Yeah, but he doesn't think that.
It's a defense mechanism. If he rejects them first, he doesn't have to deal with it.
Right.
He doesn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that goes all the way back. I mean, that probably got seeded real early on.
Yeah.
Like when he was 38. 20 years out of high school is when that happens.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of this stuff too is just like without having to help support his family. He's in school. He's trying to, like you're saying, like just trying to be a kid. But it's got all these like adult pressures and responsibilities. Mm-hmm. I mean, that time of your life is confusing and weird.
Even if
enough as it is.
Yeah, even if you have a good deal.
Right. So, do you have in your notes when did he join Bad Radio? Was
Bad Radio was 88.
88. Because they started in 86 and he joined in 88.
Yep.
Which I haven't dug into a whole lot of that stuff, other than obvious, like, there's live performance of Better Man and
there's
some
a couple
of
1988, 89 camcorder footage. But it's not bad. It's not like terrible footage. Right. And I was watching some of that this week. And some of those songs are straight up hits.
Yeah.
I think it's Believe You Me is one. And then obviously Better Man.
Right.
And there's another one called Homeless. That's pretty good, I
don't know that I've ever heard that one.
But those are, they're good songs.
I'm sure. I just think it's interesting that I guess like the band's original kind of influence was Duran Duran, mm-hmm. and then kind of morphed into this like.
Well, I guess they wanted a new singer that had more of a alternative indie rock thing going, and then Eddie came and added like a Chili Peppers vibe to
which
it.
I think, yeah, that's what I think is.
Well, I think even
Interesting.
before he was in Bad Radio, he was in like a funk band, a San Diego-based like local funk
and they
band.
had a weird name,
That's right.
like
yeah.
Butt in the Farts. Or
Oh,
something.
the Butts.
The Butts.
The Butts.
Yeah,
The Butts.
was one of the
Blood in the
bands.
fart. Hey, let me ask you guys something, man. You're both doing a lot of coughing. You guys okay?
I have
Everything okay?
crazy sinus stuff going on again.
He got sick
I'm just checking in.
because in honor of Eddie canceling that London show.
As an
Yeah,
act of solidarity, every true
Right.
Pearl Jam fan needs to get laryngitis.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
That's a bummer that he had to cancel that show.
Yeah.
yeah.
Metallica similarly had kind of at the beginning of the tour cycle for their last record, they played 4 huge shows in Copenhagen. They did like a little residency, and they were the first band to play in this new arena there. And on the second show, James's voice is really rough.
Real rough.
Yeah.
And he asked the crowd, should we just finish this and sing it together, or we can go home and reschedule? And they chose to finish that one, but he had to cancel the third one. The thing that sucks is because he's bummed. Eddie was bummed.
Yeah.
Because he lives to do that shit. Mm-hmm. But think of all the people that made the travel arrangements
Yeah,
who
that's-
can't go to
that's
the makeup
rough.
show.
Right.
And even
Yeah.
though the ticket's going to be, you can exchange the ticket, you can't do that for flying and
Right.
hotels.
Right.
And
Yeah. It's just a
at
sad
that level,
situation.
it's a big deal to cancel a show.
Yeah.
Well, there's footage. We talked about it. There's footage of "Rockin' in the Free World," which was the last song at London Night 1.
Yeah.
And it's rough. I mean, he's
But But they play long shows. Is he good for the rest of that show? Was it just really getting bad at the end?
now. It's you could tell throughout the whole show, but "Rockin'" was just man.
But it definitely
just feels
got
so bad
worse.
for the guy. Yeah.
I mean, because that
Well,
was.
people were saying London Night 1 was. I mean, the show before the London Night 1 show, you could tell something was going on with his
in
voice.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Was that night 2 in Amsterdam?
Yeah.
Well, and he might have known that he could have felt something coming because they did play slightly shorter set lists, by 4 or 5 songs, right?
Well, they've only been playing one encore,
one
which has
encore.
been a longer 7 or 8 song
Right.
encore, but they usually do like 5 or 6 twice
Right.
encores.
Well, in that body of work, I mean, there's not really. It's not like Metallica's the same way. There's not really like an alternative set list that would go easy on him. You know what I mean? Like maybe a few, but his body of work, it's hard to sing.
Right.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, unlike a band like U2, they haven't changed any
They
of the
don't
keys of
change
their
keys.
songs.
Yeah.
Metallica lowers keys. U2 completely changes keys. They don't just do a half step down. They'll take Sunday Bloody Sunday from D to G.
Right.
It's a pretty big deal.
Man,
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah, that's crazy. I like,
Isn't that insane?
yeah, man.
You okay, man? Everyone okay?
I like,
Yeah.
I'd rather they played them in F.
Yeah, F's your thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
an F cat.
Hell yeah.
F cat. Jesus.
That sounds like a warship.
All right, where were we?
Bad radio.
Bad radio. I mean, but that does, for the Mama Son demos and things like Once, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that weird. I mean, you hear it like he was
The funk.
He had been
the
in a funk band of
influence,
some
Right.
sort.
definitely,
Those
yeah.
like falsetto
Yeah.
things, and
And he was a huge Chili Peppers fan.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know if this is the time to segue into that, but Jack Irons
Right.
is sort of we really have him to thank, even before he came in and rescued the band
Yeah.
around No Code.
Yeah, Eddie was living in San Diego
Yeah.
and befriended Jack, who was not at that point the ex
Right.
Chili Peppers drummer.
But you know what maybe you guys know this, I don't know. So the deal is he was like at some like camp retreat with Jack. And they were talking about music and stuff, and Jack had the Stone demos, or he had the instrumentals of like Dollar Short and stuff, or whatever the Mama Son shit was, the
Right.
3 tunes,
Yeah.
Alive, Once, and Footsteps.
Well, it was like 6 or 7 songs.
Okay, and Eddie picked three.
He wrote,
Three.
yeah, for the 3 songs.
and so, and he was like, "Hey, these are some guys in Seattle. They're not in San Diego." Mm-hmm. I mean, was he a Mother Love Bone fan? Was he a Green River fan? How was he?
Jack.
Yeah, like how did he? How were they like?
Actually, I don't know what.
Hey
the
Jack,
connection
here's a
is.
tape. We're looking for a singer. Maybe give this a round. And
Yeah,
Jack's like,
that-
"Oh, I met this really charismatic kind of shy singer in San Diego, he might be a good fit.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you're more asking like
I just never
how
heard
did Jack
How did Jack know?
Well, it could be one thing if the footnote was like Jack, old friends with Stone and Jeff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just like the sentence is just there. Jack Irons gave Eddie the
true.
the tape.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Like, well, how did he get it? What happened?
I wonder if that'd be too. I'm just trying to think of timelines. Like, if Green River would have been more contemporary to Red Hot Chili Peppers,
maybe
than
Green
Mother
River
Love
was
Bone.
mid late '80s.
Yeah.
But Mother Love Bone had more of a buzz.
Right.
So maybe the Chili Peppers toured through Seattle because of West Coast stuff and got hooked up to the scene, and then we're like, you got to check out this Mother Love Bone stuff. It's Jeff and Stone from Green River. Oh, I liked those guys. They're put a new band together. Blah blah blah.
Jack. Yeah.
Dude, we watched single video theory last night.
Yeah.
And I gotta say I'm a Matt Cameron guy, but I was pretty impressed with Jack. Just seeing it in that video.
He's interesting.
It was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. When he's on, he is on. But when he is a little loosey-goosey, he gets a little...
What's a good example? Is there like a good example of a loose show? I know he did some shows like when they were recording No Code where they were just exhausted.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of that stuff's not available.
Yeah, and they only played like 3 shows in support of No Code.
I feel like...
I'm joking. I know they played like...
the radio show... pollution.
Monkey Wrench Radio?
No, Noise Pollution.
Noise pollution.
Yeah.
Right?
What's noise pollution?
God, I can't...
The Pollution
Monkey
Radio.
Wrench. Is it Monkey Wrench? It's the one where they did with Jack. It was like...
Self-pollution?
Self-Pollution Radio.
Self-pollution, that's it. Good God.
Kit Kat Pollution, Cherry Bomb Pollution. We'll find it eventually.
I can't believe out of 3 of us, I came up with something.
Why? What do you mean? Why?
Because I always forget.
Everyone hates me. They're going to hate me.
What's that movie? What's the name of that movie? What's that dude in that movie? For 10 minutes, I'm fucking trying to come up with the most famous actor in the world, and I can't think of it.
Leo DiSmacrio.
I love, too, how, like, you were just so, like, it's normally me that can't think of things and real kind of self-deprecating. But when you said the right answer, you looked at me with such disdain and disappointment and judgment.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know Eddie's name or something.
Clint doesn't do a Pearl Jam podcast, but you do.
Oh no.
He gets the pass,
fair enough.
But
You guys just be damn glad you don't have the people that we have that will they'll light your ass up when you get shit wrong.
Yeah.
We got that in droves.
Yeah, and just in case you guys are new, Clint, and we talked about earlier, but Clint has a badass Metallica podcast, so very different listeners, right?
There's a Venn diagram. There is a crossover.
Crossover, yeah.
We're 3 of them. There's a lot more than I thought, actually.
yeah.
But Pearl
true.
Jam, Pearl Jam's an older band now. They're only really about 10 years older or younger than Metallica.
That's true.
So when you think about bands that came out in that time that are still doing it like with relevance, I mean, I thought Lightning Bolt was as good as anything.
Well, 2 of the biggest albums of 91 in the early 90s.
Black Album and 10.
Yeah.
So. And all these years later, they're both still cranking it out.
Yep.
That's cool.
Hell yeah.
They share that,
Yeah.
And I've said it 1,000 times, but they're both cranking it out and like with good new material.
And they're both
Quality.
addicted to crank, which is why we're gathered here today.
Bass. What was that song? Bass Face?
Bass. Yeah, we watched some pretty funny. We should say rest in peace to Vinnie Paul Abbott.
That's right, man.
But we were sort of in the spirit. So Brad Blazek spent the night at my house here in Nashville last night, and we watched Single Video Theory to get amped up for this ep. Short for episode. I throw in a couple of abbreves here and there. And then I was like, you know what? Let's watch this Megadeth Behind the Music because I've never seen it.
This was awesome.
And Brad's a Megadeth fan, and I'm not really. And like within the first minute, I was like, I can't fucking. do it.
Dude, I don't even think it finished loading.
I can't.
It was like loading. ... Fuck this.
No,
Let's
I
watch
heard it because it was the intro. Was like.
Oh, that's right. They started doing the
When Megadeth remade rock and roll. I was like,
Oh,
what?
God.
the most dangerous band in metal.
I didn't care about the future. I just wanted to be the most dangerous band. I'm like, what? I hate you. I hate you, and I can't do it. So we watched the Pantera Behind the Music, and we watched the There's this really weird footage of Dimebag Darrell doing a Randall guitar amp clinic.
Yeah, I love it.
It's like 50 minutes. We watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he wrote a
song. Is he like playing to tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
On a DAT machine.
Yeah.
So you flick the G, right, Dad? Drop the bar. And while it's down, get you a harmonic. You know what I'm saying?
No, but he's a clown.
He's pretty funny, dude.
It's so funny.
But he talks about this like chick just randomly came into his apartment and was like smoking crack, and he wrote a song called Bass Face because she was bassing.
Yeah.
He sang the whole thing. He played it and sang it. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, sorry.
Right, so
so he sends the mama's son.
Right.
And I remember as a kid just being mystified by the whole trilogy. He finds out his dad died and he has sex with his mom, and then he becomes a serial killer, and then he's in a mental institution. I mean, when I was like 8 years old in 91, I was like, damn. Well, that's...
Right. No, I get it.
I mean, she at least wanted to have sex with him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do it. He looked in between her legs.
Right.
The look, right? He stares in between her legs.
Oh.
Because that's where he came from.
Such a dark song.
It's pretty fucked up.
It's super fucked up.
Well, he's real into The Who with their rock operas.
Mm-hmm.
So writing those 3 songs is right in line with that.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, that it's a story thing.
Mm-hmm.
But on the album, Footsteps isn't even on the album.
No.
They're on
Right.
10, and then Once and
Alive
are not even together.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know.
I'm glad that they weren't like, oh, this mom and son stuff. Let's look. What if our first record is like Quadrophenia? I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, me too.
Because
that would have been weird.
The whole mom incest serial killer. The 3 songs are enough for me for that. 3's good.
I've hit my ceiling on the mom songs.
I'm cool, dude. I'm cool.
Well, let's talk about his influences for a second, since we're kind of getting to the part where Pearl Jam starts going, like, because I feel like I read things that I just don't, and maybe it's because, for example, I'm not a Doors fan, but just because of his baritone, he gets a lot of Jim Morrison references.
I think that has a lot more to do with other people than Eddie.
Yeah, totally.
I think it was The Who all the way. He even once said that he should have sent Pete Townsend a Happy Father's Day card because he was raised by Pete Townsend records. You know, I'm with you. I'm not a big Doors cat. I mean, I like about 7 or 8 of their songs.
I mean, the sound of his voice is similar.
Yeah,
that's where it ends.
Yeah,
it's just
so
the
too.
register. Yeah, I don't think there's. I mean, even his most nonsensical lyrics still feel like really good lyrics to me, as opposed to Jim Morrison.
I think it's pretty hard to overestimate how important Neil Young was to this band.
Well, that's what I was about to say. And I felt like his whole voice change that happened over the first 3 records. Because, I remember for me, the big obvious one was hearing Nothing Man for the first time when he goes the octave up.
Yeah. She won't believe.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'll be taking the entire second verse now. Every story I to tell.
Grab a guitar.
One day just never
fucking
took the other side, empty side, and
God, I love the runs on the Nothing Man.
Man,
that was good.
Yeah, a lot of Celine Dion in there. A lot of early Whitney Houston and later 2015 Celine Dion there in Vitology.
It just seems like, for me, and one of the things I love about Neil Young is his like I don't give a fuck attitude. He's not too. Doesn't seem to be too precious about things, right? Would you agree with that?
It's punk rock.
Yeah.
You know, punk rock's an attitude. It's not just downstrokes. And Eddie's whole flavor is punk rock.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And especially when he starts playing guitar, which we'll get into. We keep kind of jumping the gun, but
it's fine.
You know, rearview mirror, corduroy, when that's the sound of Eddie holding a guitar.
Yeah.
And that completely changed Pearl Jam.
Well, and the whole, like, I don't know, is aesthetic of having, like, cheap tickets and the
DIY
set list,
cheap tickets,
set list being different.
Right.
I mean, that's like I talk about influences. He was a big Fugazi guy,
Right.
And those guys were like the $5 tickets forever,
Right.
And the set list. I think somebody said that they didn't even have a written set list. Fugazi.
Yeah. And I think Neil is a big part of it. Neil is a big mainstream Americana kind of rock guy, but that was his attitude.
Right.
He made the records he wanted to make. All of his records flow in and out of different genres. He's hard to pin down. He does whatever the fuck he wants, and when he rocks, very few people rock like him. And that's like Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll open a record with Sometimes. Maybe they'll open up with Once. You know. Maybe they'll open up with Getaway. Maybe he'll make a ukulele record.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think that a lot of that, more so than The Who. The Who kind of had this one great thing that they sort of did throughout much of their career.
Right.
Whereas Neil, I'll make a country record, I'll make a rock record, I'll do a solo, I'll join a band, I'll put a band of Nashville cats together, I'll make an Americana record. You know, like Neil's discography is
crazy.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Well, it was like Eddie, as much as he can, bringing like the feel of like a underground or indie punk show, you know, in a shitty place to stadiums.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
trying to keep that intact, which...
Well, how about, and them not wanting to make videos anymore? Well, we're
Right.
getting too famous.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
See, this is where,
Your face.
as much as I don't like Dave A, I'm with him on his whole, like, what? What do you mean you don't like it? This is awesome.
Yeah,
This is
right.
what we dreamed of.
Yeah.
And of course, Pearl Jam would go on to more or less accept that they are a living legend band
Right.
who, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think they're probably, like most of us, no different for them, even though they're in a spotlight and they've documented all these things on records. They probably look back on some of that and they're like, eh.
Yeah. Well, it seems like Jeff and Eddie were the
Artists.
the keep it real dudes in the
Right.
band. I feel like that's the charge that they led. I feel
Yeah.
like a band like, or you know, people like Mike or even Stone. Not they don't have their ethos or sharing that, but they seem like they maybe a little bit more lighthearted about the getting big thing.
Well,
Stone.
I mean, Stone always wanted to get big.
Right,
Yeah,
say,
totally.
You know what I mean?
That's why
Like,
they quit Green River.
Right.
Was because is it Mark
Arm. Yeah.
wanted to stay small.
see, I came up on a very steady diet of Kiss.
Right.
And as did Mike McCready. And, you know, those dudes were like, they have no patience for that shit.
Right.
They're like, we want to be the biggest band in the fucking world, and if you don't, then get out of the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, that can't be what life is. They fulfill a very specific role of bravado and pyro and spitting blood and fire, and they're wearing 7-inch platforms. I mean, when you see Kiss, you're like, that's for superstars. In fact, they might not even be humans.
Yeah.
And I understand the, like, we just want to wear our flannel shirt we slept in, and we don't want to be famous. It's about the art and my mom, and you know, I see room for both. But as I get older, I'm like,
Yeah,
Well, as much as Kiss was into that idea of being the biggest rock stars in the world, that's how Eddie felt about not being.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he wanted to be do it yourself and live that life.
But he eventually had to get with the program because he couldn't. You know, I think they did a lot for like. I think maybe they did change some of the landscape of how this is done. But ultimately, for example, with Ticketmaster, they had to eventually be like, well, we want to go play shows. So we have to play ball with the man to go play
Right.
shows.
Right.
They still put out records and make deals with Walmart and Target and
Right.
Live Nation. And they're big, famous celebrities. He married a fucking supermodel, which go tell Eddie, who wrote Satan's Bed,
Right.
that he'd be marrying a supermodel. It's like all these things, you know?
Sure.
Well,
They
I
do press now.
I was reading this article and Eddie like acknowledges like in the early days, yeah, our activism was knee jerk. You know, they would see something and just go head on into it. But nowadays it's like they're working with these corporate companies, corporate entities to still try and change things, but they have to work with the man.
Right.
You know, but they try to do it without, messing up the culture or the land, where they're still part of it, but not part of it.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if they have the power culturally that they did. I mean, what they were doing when they were selling 10 million records a pop was like, we're one of the biggest bands in the world. We're going to make this an issue. We're going to get Ralph Nader elected, or...
Yeah, but I think when they were that big, Eddie especially took the stance that we have a responsibility because we have this voice now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's just more about, I don't know that it was about being anti, getting big. I think it always felt more like, that's fine, but as long as we can do it the way we want to do it. If we can't do it the way we want to do it, then no, I don't want it. But if we can keep doing it the way we want to do it and call the shots, not make videos, not do interviews we don't want to do, then we'll keep going.
Stone says a really interesting thing in the single video theory, where he's like, when we decided to take all that shit out, he's like, it was good. He's like, but what it left us with, which was scary, was that now if there are problems moving forward, it's probably us.
Yeah, we can't blame it on anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not because we're doing too much shitty press we don't want to do, or MTV hijacked our video. Like, we don't have any videos anymore.
Right.
Yeah. I do. Let's see. Is there any? Where are we at? We're kind of around. Oh, I want to talk about right before 10. So maybe he gets roped in with those dudes. He goes up there. They start Pearl Jam. He's rehearsing with them, and they're maybe writing the rest of the record. I did want to talk a little bit about Chris Cornell and Temple of the Dog, because Eddie being on that record, that's the first record he ever sang on. It was the first music video he was ever in. And the idea being like Chris, and like their second show ever, he went to the stage on Chris Cornell's back.
Yeah.
And that, I guess the subtext for that music community at that time was Andy died and left a big hole for like an enigmatic frontman type, and this is your new dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is something Eddie could never...
Like physically passing the torch.
Literally, yeah. And Eddie could never do that for him. Never be like, hey guys, if it's cool with you all, I'm the new dude.
Right.
Yeah. So for Chris, who was the dude everyone looked up to be like, hey, here it is. We're going to have him sing on the record that we made for Andy. I mean, that's a huge step in the ladder.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it shows you how incredible a human being that Chris was.
Yeah.
To bring in this new guy.
He wasn't threatened by him.
Right.
Knew his own shit was good enough. Because no one, in my opinion, could really touch Soundgarden.
Yeah.
It was just its own sound, its own thing. And he was a king of that.
To befriend him and show all these other bands that this is a good dude, and we should, help him.
Right.
Because he's like the new kid at school.
Yeah.
And for him to come in and Chris just to take him in is just...
Would you say he was the new kid on the block?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I love too is like that Eddie and Chris kind of represent...
It's a pretty good joke.
It was. I laughed. For real.
He had the right stuff.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
There it is. Yeah. Boom, Blazik. God damn. Fucking comedic genius. That relationship and the fact that all those bands actually supported each other is completely antithetical to a lot of music scenes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like Chris talking about in PJ20, talking to, what was it, Joey Ramone? Where he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What? We would fuck each other up every chance we got. You know what I mean? Like, and that kind of like friendly community kind of vibe is also the opposite of how quote unquote grunge got presented. You know what I mean? Like, they got kind of presented as, the flannel wearing mopey, just sit in my room by myself all day long, which is not the fucking truth. And like Jeff loves to play basketball.
Right.
And
they're all into sports.
Yeah. It's like, it's amazing what a narrative, I guess, for lack of a better term, like the media, the outside part of observant part of the culture.
And it works. I mean, that narrative sold, and I think as good as all the music was, that shit sold records.
It did.
You know, and then it ended up being a fashion statement, and it sold clothing. I mean, that's just the power of. I don't think that's wrong or right. That's just what ad people do. Mm-hmm. They find a thing, they try to make money off of it.
Well, and they saw that and didn't want to be a part of it,
right?
And that's why they didn't do videos for every single,
right?
You know, and you
well,
know,
that all coincides with Eddie. You know, I guess we're jumping ahead again, but Eddie kind of starting to take the reins, starting on Vitology, which is also when maybe not initial record sales, like first week type stuff, but I know the back end of Vitology going into No Code was comparatively a little bleak. But when you're comparing the sales of those two records versus and 10, which are just fucking monumental, they still sold a shit ton of records. But you could tell it was changing at that point.
I would argue it started in Versus. You know, the two tracks that are sort of buried on the record, Rearview Mirror and Elderly Woman, are Eddie's first two full writing credits, where that's like him taking the reins, him playing guitar. I bet old Stone was like, ooh, I'm not... Because, you know, there was this brief period where it was, you know, Stone's band.
Right. Yeah, we should get into that, like, Stone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take us there, man.
And
hey.
Because isn't this one of the things that basically, like, one of our patrons asked about?
Yeah. Just the relationship of Eddie kind of overtaking the band from Stone and just how that worked, and... you guys probably know better than I do, like specific Eddie songs.
Those two, and then the deal totally sealed, in my opinion, on Vitology with Corduroy and Better Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I know Better Man's an old song, but like Better Man, arguably the biggest song on that record, and one of the probably top 10 biggest songs of their whole career.
Yeah,
and then of course No Code is almost like an Eddie solo record.
Right.
It feels like.
Yeah.
Through, you know, he would go on to have 3-4 writes on every record, and then he made 2 solo. I mean, and plus, a guitar player who doesn't sing can't compete with a front man.
No.
The only guitar player that ever did that I know of is Angus Young.
Right.
Where AC/DC, he is the front man of AC/DC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Eddie Van Halen, but you got David Lee Roth, dude. He couldn't, you know.
It's a big personality.
And Stone's personality is pretty meek.
Yeah.
So
it seems pretty reserved.
So he never would have really been a spokesman for it. He maybe would have been like the quiet, creative guy, but
I bet it was so passive aggressive for a while.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There probably was a transition
because Eddie is not like aggressive in that way of just like, hey motherfucker, I'm writing now.
Right.
And Stone probably half wants to like, we'll see what he does, but also like, this is what I do. This is what I've done in every band.
Yeah.
I did this for Mother Love Bone. I do this in Pearl Jam.
I'm the dude.
Yeah.
Well, we saw it in Single Video Theory, the argument
about the
Ebo. You know,
I love that.
The argument is in their faces.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ever start screaming and yelling at each other. You know, it's totally different than like Lars and James.
And at the end of Wish List 2, Eddie's like, "Can someone go ga-gung, ga-gung?" And Stone's like, "Where?" And Eddie's like, "What?" He's like, "Where do you want it?" And Eddie goes, "Oh, at the end of the last real chorus." And Stone looks at Mike and goes, "Do you know where he wants it?" And Mike goes, "At the end."
And that was on Yield.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've worked through a lot of shit.
What I bet was helped that transition for old Stony Stone to mellow out is when he saw Dave get fired. He probably thought, "Woo."
Yeah.
And he's the one who had to fire him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stone was the one who had to do it.
Fucking breakfast time firing.
And it probably wasn't even... I've got a book over there I'm going to let Brad borrow. Brad Blazek, called 5 Against 1. And it's kind of a biography about them, but kind of...
Abruzzese heavy.
Yeah. And they talk about that, how, you know, they suggest in that book that Stone didn't care if he got... Stone thought, we have a great rock drummer.
Yeah.
You disagree with him about some stuff, what's a big deal? But that came from Ed, and that was like, he's out.
I bet Mike felt the same way.
Well, because Mike got real dicey. In fact, reading about Mike going kind of crazy, because apparently one thing Mike used to do a lot when he would have too much drink is get naked.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
It's in that book too.
He's been on stage.
You've known those friends though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who they get kind of fucked up in this naked time.
Yeah.
Because it's funny.
Right.
That was apparently
That's
one of
why
his...
I don't drink anymore.
It's like Brad.
Well, in that case, this bud's for you.
Go get 5 more. We got to make this happen.
But yeah, I mean, because Mike, shit got dicey with Mike.
Yeah.
But I guess if you had to put them all on a spectrum, Dave is probably going to be one of the first to go.
It's not going to be Eddie
Or Stone.
over Dave.
Right. Right.
Do you think it's those dudes see the talent though of Eddie,
Yeah.
and that this guy is
The other band members?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I think it was a really interesting combination of they could see what it was, which that's amazing, that to be able to really appreciate something and see it. Most bands just think they're born fucking geniuses and they think it's going to last forever and it burns out. That's like most bands.
Yeah.
For them to be like, okay, even though the power dynamics need to change, I can see that this dude is the future of the band.
Well,
And then the lack of ego.
Mm-hmm.
well, all three of them, Stone, Jeff, and Mike, had all been in other bands that just it didn't work out.
Right.
So,
Well, if you look at it historically, too, with all their lives, like, there's something to be said, first of all, for, by today's standards, they made it later in life. Like, they weren't 21 years old, right?
Right.
They had all been in bands. They'd all been through the shit you and I have been through. Like, how many times have you been in a band or with a solo artist and been told by management or somebody like, oh, this is it. This is going to be the big, you're going to fucking blow
record.
up, man.
Yeah.
Finally going to happen. And then you get disappointed because it usually doesn't happen. But I just wonder also if they were all kind of like, this is it. Like, if this doesn't happen, I ain't going down this road
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
Yep.
You know, because
So
Mike had
let's
gone
make
down
it-
that
so
path
let's make
before
it
Pearl
work.
Jam. Right, exactly. Then even, maybe not even like, let's force it to make it work, but
not,
just like,
not force it.
we're
Well,
all cashing in hard, and then if this doesn't work, I'm out.
Well, again, like single video theory.
We know what the show's called.
Now I lost my train of thought.
Just like they said on Single
Eddie
Podcast Theory.
says a lot of people say being in a band is like being married, and he's like, but it's not. Like, we can leave if we want to.
Yeah.
So
We choose to be here.
yeah.
Right.
Not till you buy that yacht. Once you buy that yacht, you'll do anything to pay that fucking bill.
What was it David Lee Roth said about?
About yachts?
Yes,
I want to fuck you on a yacht.
yeah, I'm sure he said that at some point. But he also said, money can't buy you happiness.
Not on his yacht, a yacht.
Yeah.
Old Diamond Dave, man.
Oh man,
No, but money can't buy you happiness.
Oh.
But it can buy you a yacht.
Who's the
Something
Pearl
like
Jam
that.
member most likely to buy a yacht?
A current member?
Yeah.
Mike.
No.
No? Matt?
I'm going to say Eddie Vedder.
Do you think so?
I think it's Eddie. Hey, I'm not saying he's going to buy a goddamn yacht.
No,
I'm
no,
saying
I'm
he's the
just
most
saying-
likely to. I think he's accepted that he's a rich ass
I think he
motherfucking
has,
celebrity
too,
now,
man.
dude. He married a goddamn supermodel. He's got a whole bunch of rich ass fucking celebrity friends. He's that
Yeah.
dude. He parties with Sean Penn and
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
They're
Party
fucking
boat.
on yachts, dude.
Well, and you can see the tone
Maybe not fucking.
has changed so much too. Like, even now. What did I just miss? Did you say something funny while I was talking?
He said Eddie is fucking David Lee Roth on a yacht.
Ugh.
Ain't talking about love.
Oh, what was I saying? It was super profound. Oh, the way he handles even like, he's a lot more lighthearted even when he makes some of these political statements now as opposed to even 10 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot less kind of like that earnest look on his face. And like just a few days ago when he was talking about Can't Deny Me, joking or saying this song's not about Trump.
Right.
You know, he was talking about some heavy shit, but he was just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's play another song, or let's play this song. You know.
Well, there's something to be said about how the years soften you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, when you're young, you got the fire and the energy for that stuff.
You think you know a lot,
and you think you know a lot. Hopefully for all of us, the more you know you don't know shit.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that kind of mellows you out, man. Mm-hmm. And it's real easy to be all upset when you're a poor little struggling artist type. It's real hard to do that when you are a rich ass motherfucker. That's just hard. That's hard to pull off.
He's learning or has learned
To fly?
to play the game and fly.
Let's play 2.
There you go.
Let's play 2 all the way.
You hear what he's doing there, Brad?
Mm-hmm.
Chicago.
Chicago.
for you.
Chicago. Throw it through the garden. That's a dog with everything on it. Yeah, I'll take a dog and throw it through the garden.
Throw it through the garden?
Throw it through the garden.
You're going to Chicago here soon, right?
I'm going to Chicago this goddamn weekend.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I
I'm
have
gonna
no
send
idea.
you a list of places that you must eat at.
He's not going to go.
I hate it. Hate that. Dude, where are you going? Evanston? Okay.
I got a place for you.
I'm just going to go ahead and assume you have no
Best
plans.
pizza.
I'm going to assume you have no plans. Here's your whole day. You're going to wake up. You're going to go to the original Pancake House. Now, that's on the corner of Burlap and Megatron.
Cicero Avenue.
Then you're going to go to.
Burlap and Megatron.
Then you're going to go to a nice library. There's a little reading nook, and you're going to check out these 6 books, and you're not going to leave till you read all 6 of them. I don't know
Brad
if you have any
Blake
plans
doesn't
that day.
read. He would never tell you to go to the library.
Then you're going to go have an espresso at Starnucks. Not Starbucks. Starnucks.
It's the local.
It's across the street. You're going to buy you a pair of Mikeys. Not Nikes. Mikeys, made local in Evanston.
You know what he's talking about, Brad.
You like deep dish? All right, I know this killer 18 spots on the south side.
I think that was like a young man's game. I couldn't do deep dish now to save my life.
It's like eating for 100.
I could.
Ugh. Just the thought of all that grease
rich,
soaked
man.
up in that fucking
I can hardly eat 3 bites of it.
ugh. But when I was younger, man, we fucking went for it. Pizza Hut deep dish.
To be a
Did
touring-
you just fucking say Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
Deep dish? That ain't deep dish.
You got to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
He
I
gets it.
know that. I'm just saying.
I'm going to take my happy ass to Chicago and go to goddamn Pizza Hut
Yeah, that.
and protest
Just
like
do
my
it.
hero Eddie Vedder would have.
Oh, we're going to Pizza Hut
What?
when we go to Chicago.
When is that?
Fuck that.
You guys are definitely going, right? When is
Yeah,
that?
August 20th and 22nd.
You know, if I don't have gigs, I'm hopping in that car.
There you
Okay,
go.
cool.
Good.
Let's do it.
I'll come and get you.
I'm going to drive you straight to fucking Domino's.
No, not happening.
Okay, pizza.
What I don't understand is how like Pizza Hut and Domino's like are within 100 miles of Chicago. How do they fucking last when there is so many great pizza
Because
places?
people are tired of that shit. People know that they know what they're getting with Domino's.
It's safe.
There's comfort. And it's cheaper. People like cheap, terrible things.
I guess so.
You know?
I used to eat McDonald's. I could have gotten a better burger somewhere.
I guess. Yeah, but we're talking about pizza.
You can get a good look at a butcher's ass if you... What?
Stick your head up there. Ask them what the
Open
weather's
wide.
like.
Okay.
Man.
Where do we pick back up from pizza talk?
Eddie Mueller.
Well, let's talk about the songwriting on 10 versus... Because we kind of jumped ahead to like Eddie taking over and what that meant from a songwriting context. But
You guys okay?
Great. We're recording, right?
could you...
Oh, fuck. I forgot to hit record. All right. I'm texting Ethan to tell him to come a little later because we're riffing and
What time is it?
We're riffing and rocking. 12:30.
Oh, shit. How long have we been recording?
I don't know how to read that. An hour and 11 minutes, I think.
Is it military time?
0600 and counting. And how? I'm going to tell him to come at 1:30. You're editing this out. I'm shocked.
Just in case. You know I might not. I might even leave the claps in there.
Oh, I love the clapping.
That's my favorite.
I love the 3 claps. You need a little castanets.
Like I said before, that's how I know that he's not going to edit something. When I'm like, oh, dude, you should drop something in, or you should do this. Okay, yeah, maybe I will. And then he just keeps talking, no claps. I'm like, oh, that ain't happening.
That's staying in. That dumb shit thing I just said, that's staying in there for everyone to hear.
I like that he's like, will you please edit this in? And you're like, yeah. But the real answer is the lack of claps.
There's no clap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at least I'm fair about it. I don't edit myself either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like I edit all my stupid shit out and leave yours.
There is an equanimity to the lack of edits. That's true. What were you going to say about the songwriting?
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like there's still lyrically like a kind of model for... I just don't know how drastically Eddie lyrically as a songwriter has changed. I mean, there's growth, there's whatever, but it's not like you listen to the songs on 10 and you're like, wow, it's a completely different person.
I agree.
You know?
I mean,
he's got the the narrative stuff, the made up stories,
he's got the parent stuff, daughter, he would revisit parent stuff, and there's even flow about homelessness, and there's political shit. There's love. Oceans is a love song.
Yeah.
Angry Eddie.
I think it'd be fair to say it's a template.
Yeah. Yeah, Deep for that's a pretty angry sounding song.
Yeah.
Vocally.
Why Go is angry.
Yeah.
Once is angry. I'm gonna kill everybody one time. Just once though. I'm gonna kill everybody just once.
Just once. And leave myself.
I do have to say, Brad Blazek and I were talking about it last night. We were talking about the redux, like the remix of 10, and yes, they took all the reverb out. Yes. I don't like it as much because to me, even with the flaws, the sound of 10 is the sound of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
And he was saying that he only really listens to the redux now, but I think it's because I don't listen to 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, but the only reason I don't listen to it is because I've heard it. I truly heard it too many times.
Yeah.
I wore that motherfucker out.
Me too.
Well, like I said last night, like I've got a lot of albums like that that I've listened to a million times that I still like, but I can't listen to them. Like Nevermind by Nirvana. I don't.
Well, you even sing verses is like that for you.
Yeah.
Huh.
But 10 is like another fucking level. I could listen to 10 every day for the rest of my life and still enjoy it. But
I just feel like those middle records where they seem to do a lot of growing up that came with some bad sauce, that came with like, some of those middle records confused me. Mm-hmm. Bugs being a main offender there, maybe. But I just associate that with my Pearl Jam because I was old. I mean, when 10 came out, I was 8. When Yield came out, I was in high school.
But you were into 10 at 8 years old.
I
right?
couldn't imagine anything better than that, except maybe the Black Album.
Yeah,
and Michael Jackson, Dangerous. Mm-hmm. I actually liked a lot of music then, but 10 was my shit.
Yeah,
I was Pearl Jam through and through. That was my tribe.
Yeah. What were you listening to at 8?
8? So 1988? No, 86? It was probably some smattering of like the rock and roll of the day, which was pretty...
Guns, maybe Appetite.
It would have been Guns. It would have been Guns, Motley Crue. Like the Kickstart My Heart record. I don't remember what the name of that record was.
I think I lived a very sheltered life. Because at 8, I wasn't listening to anything that would be considered like rock or metal.
Weren't you listening to Def Leppard?
Just getting into that.
How do I know more about you than you? What happened? Wires got crossed.
Where am I?
I listened to your podcast too much.
No, I mean, I was listening to like top 40 radio.
I like top 40 radio.
I like a lot of pop music.
Yeah, but when you were 8?
Yeah.
But I mean, you wouldn't listen to it now.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
I might. I still love Prince and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm saying, though...
Fuck, I like Wilson Phillips, man. Someday somebody's going to make you want to turn around and say goodbye, dude. That was a life lesson that I learned.
I wasn't listening to anything heavy
when
I was 8. I was listening to only, like, top 40.
Why is that? Parents? Your parents sheltered you from it?
I think so.
And now look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a shower in my house, blasting metal.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, it was...
Listen to the metal in the shower, dude.
You hear that?
No. I took a wild guess. You're blasting it in there.
What was I?
Were you?
Do you?
Is it?
Do you?
Well, see, I had my dad listening to, like, he's a huge fan of The Who. That's like one of the first records I remember seeing.
That's probably me too. Like, not The Who, but my dad liked classic rock, so I heard rock.
Maybe that's what.
So my dad gave me the diet of classic rock.
My mom would listen to like Stevie Wonder,
Great.
Barry Manilow. Oh, I love Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
Barry Manilow.
All right.
And like I said, just
what about the
radio.
Beatles? Were the Beatles around?
No.
How old were you when you were 8? Or what year?
8.
Yes, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh boy. Well, okay.
83.
83. You were 8. Okay.
But that's.
How about some MJ, dude? That's Thriller.
Oh yeah.
So Thriller.
Yeah.
All right.
Thriller, 1984.
See, if you'd been a Kiss fan, you'd been rocking "Lick It Up," and that would have been no problemo because that record fucking rocks.
No.
Yeah, I remember getting
lots of MTV, like the MTV shit that was out then. That I got a lot of music from that, which was like Tom Petty. That what's that one where he's like in the desert, but it's the future.
You Got Lucky.
Yeah, that fucking song.
That record's called Long After Dark.
Come On Eileen.
Yeah,
was a big one.
I can just see you. Yeah,
I love that song.
8, 6, 7, 5. Were you into that one?
Yeah.
I remember buying a Whitney Houston tape.
Loved her.
My mom, we listened to that too. She would listen to that too.
The one with I'm Every Woman.
Yes.
Bodyguard soundtrack was a big one for me in the early 90s. It's an abbrev for 90s.
I don't know. Growing up Catholic, going to Catholic school.
Like show me on the doll.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know why I think everyone hates me all the time. Maybe it was. I'll just show you on the doll.
I'll do it again. It's right here.
I'll relive the most painful 18 years of my life.
I hate this.
Come over
but
here.
I love it.
All right. So let's go back to, because I know one of our patrons had asked about this too, and we've kind of touched on it, but now let's skip forward to like Vitalogy, no code era, and just, maybe there's not much more to say about it, but the whole changing of the guard to becoming Eddie's band. Because that's a pretty big moment. I mean, I know that's an obvious statement, but in regards to the fact that they had a working thing, and Stone was a big part of that working thing, and to take the chances, to be willing to take the chances and do the work relationally with each other to let it change into what it was going to change into, not knowing what that was. Being one of the biggest rock bands in the world.
My opinion on that is it's really just the 2 records where that was ever a real danger, Vitalogy and No Code, where like it might have slipped away. And even on those 2 records, a lot of the boys wrote other stuff. Mike wrote Present Tense, and Stone wrote Mankind and all that stuff. But to me, with Yield and Binaural Riot Act, they started to move out of that back into a band. Right. Got real diplomatic, like. Stone wrote the music and words to Rival.
Right.
Matt Cameron wrote You Are and Get Right and Crop Duster. I think maybe for those 2 records, Eddie like held tight and the band gave way to it. But then I think he started to mellow out.
If anything, Stone probably saw how much Pearl Jam in the media and in the music world was affecting Eddie. So to give him that control...
Poor Eddie.
It's kind of only right or only fair,
I just think it was the way forward.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way forward. He's the dude.
Well, and like what you're saying though, it's like the difference between like it was always Eddie's band to the public.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's true.
it was only if you cared about who wrote songs that you knew. I mean, everyone just kind of thinks the lead singer is the band
but it
a lot
was
of times.
Stone's band, and most of the stuff on the first 2 records is Stone stuff.
Stone and Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the
But,
difference. It's
but
like,
you wouldn't know unless you read the liner notes.
right.
Which
Just
I'm all
Which
about.
I still haven't.
I'm all about that stuff.
We are.
Yeah.
But most people don't dig in that hard, especially nowadays.
They
like,
those aren't true fans.
oh, you're going to play the self-righteous card, huh?
Real
Huh?
fans know that stuff.
But it's just another example of that, like, perception from the outside versus what really goes on the inside. You know? It's just little things. Like, as touring musicians, we know what happens for the hours of the day before we get on stage.
Before we get off the yacht.
Before we get off the yacht.
It's hard to get off that yacht sometimes.
Onto our tandem segways that someone else drives us.
Who would be the leader of this band?
Ooh.
We were in a band where we both
yeah.
were frontmen. We both sang and we both
That's
wrote all the
true.
songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was the band name?
It was called the Green Leaves. We wrote a record based on the short stories of Flannery O'Connor,
Okay. Yep.
and it was a rock band. It was kind of inspired by mid 2000s Ryan Adams records.
Yeah.
It was like Cold Roses. It was us trying to do Cold Roses. That's how I look back on it.
Yeah.
But we loved this
But
author.
you saying this was one band and you both were frontmen, or were you
Yes.
saying
So
separate?
we
took turns
both
singing.
Right.
wrote. We co-wrote the material, but then we also wrote what we would live in. We lived together, and on a yacht, and
Go on.
In Birmingham.
we were reading these short stories, and we would it was like assignment writing. You go write this, you go write that, and then we had a band of our friends, and it was like a cool rock band, and we were going to make a record, and it never really. I moved to Nashville before anything really happened.
Yeah.
But we were both. If we were playing one of his songs, he sang it.
Mm-hmm.
Playing one of mine, I sang it.
It's like 311.
It's pretty much exactly
Just like
a
it.
carbon copy of Amber.
Who was the rapper?
We both rapped.
We both-
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
We both
In
rapped.
unison.
We
That
both did reggae.
That was the twist on 311. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's only one rapper.
You got
Right.
the singer and the
But
rapper.
you guys were like, we both rap.
we were like
That's cool.
We were like 311 on based out. Free bass in
Were
311.
you mad at Lincoln Park when they stole the 311 model? Did that bum you out a lot?
Yeah, that ain't 311.
Well, who else has the singer rapper set up in the band? Lincoln Park, 311.
Come on, you're a rap rock guy.
I know that the band Saliva, the one guy does both. In one moment, I'm at my mama made. And then the chorus is, wanna take you down, so it cannot be found. He does them both. Kid Rock dabbles in both.
Right.
Did not, not two people though. And I did not think there'd be a Saliva reference on this episode. That was
Hey
pretty
man,
amazing.
I'm here to deliver Saliva
That's
references.
Mississippi rock, isn't it?
Click, click,
Aren't they
boom.
from Mississippi?
Click, click, boom. All right, moving on. So let's get into the later records now and time period, right? 2007, isn't that when Into the Wild happened,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I read something recently where, and this kind of goes back to the question asked about 10, was I'm not as familiar with that stuff, just
Right.
being totally honest. We'll cover it. We'll have a separate episode on, his solo work and his records and stuff like that. But I've read a couple different things. I can't remember what the sources were now, but people feeling like him doing the solo records brought more kind of like introspective lyrics or personal lyrics into Pearl Jam, which I feel like that's just been happening from the very beginning. That's just the way he writes.
If someone were to maybe guide me through that and were to say like, hey, Backspacer and Lightning Bolt are wildly different because of his experience doing Into the Wild, I would be open to it, but I've been paying attention the whole time, and I'm not sure that's the case.
The only way it could make sense to me is that, there's after he started doing more solo, actual proper solo stuff, not just bringing an Eddie song into the band. The Eddie songs for the band are, with the exception of a few, like different than what I know of his solo stuff. Does that make sense? Like,
Right.
you can kind of tell on those later records, like, not only did Eddie write this song, but this is an Eddie song brought into the band.
Here are tunes that could have easily been on his record. Just Breathe, The End,
right, exactly.
Sleeping by Myself. And then I think he straight up brought an Eddie. It's a ukulele song on Soon Forget. He brought that's an Eddie song.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I can't stand that song. I think that's why, because that was binaural, so that was 2000. Or that's 2000, right? Binaural.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when he was coming out with his own solo shit, I remember just thinking, like, if it sounds like that, I'm out. And I heard the ukulele version of Can't Keep, and I know you're not a big Can't Keep guy, but that's one of my jams.
The Pearl Jam version?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love the drums, love how the three guitars wind in and out.
It's weird.
So cool and weird.
Yeah.
And I love the lyric, man. I won't live forever, you can't keep me here.
Yeah.
This is the angle on, like, I'm gonna die, that's sad. But instead, he turns it around like, I won't live forever. You can't fucking keep me here.
Yeah.
I got other places to go.
Yeah.
That's cool,
Good shit,
dude.
man.
I do
That's
like
awesome.
that part of the song.
Yeah.
It's more just the verses that are kind of...
Well, I do like when he busts your balls about what your odd preferences are that are fluid seeming, but you're like, it never takes off. It just never goes anywhere. That's what you sound like, by the way.
Sorry, I thought that was Brad. Threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, I was hearing that. I was like, not every song has to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I mean, I think I said it in that episode. That's what I love about the song, is that it's just like this tense thing that never really resolves,
Did you guys get the End of the Wild soundtrack when it came out? Like, I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, as we all know. I didn't really have a lot of interest in it.
I didn't either.
Because to me, what's I've always loved about the band is all those dudes. Even though Eddie's Eddie's the front man and the spokesperson and a main writer and all this. I kind of don't want to hear it if Stone or Jeff or Mike aren't there.
Well, listening to Into the Wild gave me an appreciation for the 5 separate members becoming one thing.
Well, let me ask you this. I know you guys are going to do a whole episode on it. Does anyone who played on it?
I have no idea. I literally have never had real interest in any of that stuff.
I mean, I've got it and I've listened to it and I like some of the stuff on there, but
Before you got here today, I asked him, I said, what's the best song on it? I just wanted to take a little sampling, and we played Setting Forth, and pretty good.
Setting Forth is good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is some great, like, Eddie solo shit on that.
But Into the Wild is very different than ukulele songs, because it's more like
there's more ukulele on the ukulele songs one, I bet.
Yes.
Main difference being...
So what? So if he did Into the Wild in 2007, that means...
That's post-Avocado.
That's just a year after Avocado came out.
So if someone's claiming that his lyrics changed, it would be for Backspacer and Lightning Bolt.
Which, no.
Well, I read something interesting I thought about Into the Wild is that he had seen the movie Harold and Maude. Is that it?
That's a 70s classic movie.
Who does the soundtrack?
Oh, is it some famous person?
Yes.
I don't know. Darth Vader.
Should have wrote it down.
Well, what's the... what?
Harold and Maude soundtrack.
Is it like some folky thing? Is it like Simon and Garfunkel? I know they did The Graduate, but it's something like that.
But he,
like Dan Fogelberg or something.
The guy that wrote the music wrote it in the style of being from Harold's perspective.
Oh, it was Cat Stevens.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So Eddie kind of did that for Into the Wild. I think that's an interesting idea.
That might be another reason is I'm a big film lover, and the premise of that movie just looked awful to me.
Did you ever see it?
No.
I didn't either.
Is that, it's an older woman?
What?
Harold and Maude? Oh,
no, Harold and Maude's great.
Okay.
Harold and Maude is where like a disturbed teenager befriends an older woman, and they have this like really kind of interesting, unlikely friendship.
Is it Bud Cort? See,
I don't know.
Did you say butt cord?
Bud.
Are you asking if he starred in it?
Yes.
I don't know who the kid is.
Okay.
And I don't know who directed it. I think
I'm such a huge movie buff, but I don't know.
I didn't say buff. I said lover.
Directed by Hal Ashby.
Hal Ashby. I just got that. So fuck you.
Don't say
Bud Cort.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. What else is Bud Cort in?
Ruth Dogma. Thank you.
Kevin Smith, you don't get points for that. You were obsessed with that motherfucker.
Ruth Busby?
Oh, homeboy's reading IMDb.
Yeah, dude.
Blasting Megadeth in the goddamn shower at my house. My daughter was like, Daddy, what's the satanic music coming out of my bathroom? That's Brad Blazek, baby.
Because you only listen to George Winston records around here, right?
I prefer... No, dude, I'm listening to all the fucking classic orchestral Chinese Appalachian religious music.
Of course.
The monks.
Just Gregorian chants.
Yeah.
Banging stones against the cave and all. You know.
You know. I'm going to talk like this for the rest of the episode.
Anytime you're wanting to do someone else's voice, just do it like this.
Right.
It's great in a marriage. they
don't get tired of it at all.
That. My wife's like, is that what I sound like? Is that what I sound like? Very funny. Very funny.
Funty.
Cut it out. Don't cut it out.
Oh, they love the old
just gets
cunt word.
more intense.
Does she just
PG-13.
ignore you, or does she lose it eventually?
She is mildly amused by me. And that's about as nice as I can put that.
Yeah.
She's mildly amused
God,
still.
we're in the same spot.
After all these years. Hey, I'll take mildly amused.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
She
I'm
kind of
holding on to that tight.
She kind of cocks her head and looks up, and I imagine the bubble above her head is like, he used to be really funny.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. But that's cool with me. That's all I ask, literally.
I used to think it was really cool that I was with a musician.
That was fun until it turned into a nightmare.
That was the biggest mistake of my 20s, says Leslie.
Oh, boy.
Can't wait till she listens to this.
Me neither.
So, where did you put, if you remember, the, let's say, Backspacer, Lightning Bolt, and Avocado in your top 10? Do you remember?
Like 7, 8, 9, something like that.
What was 10 for you? Like the number 10?
What was the probably?
Was it Right Eye?
Yeah, I think so.
Where would you put those three records?
Avocado was number 10,
Okay.
and then 10 was number 9. What are the other two you're asking about?
Backspacer, Lightning Bolt.
They're pretty high. They're both above Versus for me. But not... So,
Backspacer and Lightning Bolt are?
yeah.
Better than Versus.
Yes. For me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No Code, Yield, Riot Act, Binaural, Backspacer, Lightning Bolt.
So, I mean, obviously there's going to be many Eddie episodes, but, like, how do you guys feel about Eddie, as a 50-year-old versus... Like, how do you think he's, like, aged as a person and as a band member?
I always like looking at the liner notes and seeing that someone else wrote the song. I love that Mike wrote Inside Job because, and I don't know Eddie, but what that communicates to me is Eddie doesn't have an ego about it. Mm-hmm. If the song's good, and he's not one of these people that's like, I can't sing it if I didn't write it.
Right.
He's like, that's cool. If it's good, it's good. I dig that. In terms of what he's bringing to the table, I mean... My Father's Son is every bit as dark and interesting as anything. So, I mean, I really loved the last record. I thought Infallible was great. Thought Pendulum was great.
Yep.
Getaway. I did think I was texting my friend Aaron about Getaway, and it did seem like the themes of Getaway and Mind Your Manners, the 1-2 punch of religious criticism. I did feel like he's saying that more boldly than he ever has.
Yeah.
And that might be a product of getting older and wanting to just quit beating around the bush.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the extremes in those areas have gotten so... Well, it was like the... was it Judd Apatow? Who did all the interviews
Judd Apatow.
for Lightning Bolt? And he's pretty plain spoken about... I mean, he goes as far as to say... talking about... What book was that? That he had read or was reading. But he... says, like, I think in the future we'll look at, like,
that
religious fundamentalism
as an illness,
as a mental illness.
Yeah.
And of course he's not talking about anyone that has a belief, in like a higher power. I mean, he said fundamentalism, you know what I mean?
What did you... I didn't hear what you said. You said something and gave me
He did the classic Brad B thing of... Oh, you know that book you read.
What does that mean? The classic Brad B thing.
That I'm always like, you remember that TV show where they did this thing?
Yeah, it's true.
And you're just sitting there.
Remember
like,
that one episode of the Brady Bunch? God damn it.
That's a little different than remember the book Eddie talked about in that Judd Apatow interview.
That's true.
It's a bit. It's more of a narrow range.
There's only one of those Judd Apatow interviews.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All I'm saying, Brad.
Cut that out.
You want to come at me, bro? I'll come back at you, bro.
Hey, can we edit that out? Yeah.
Anyway.
Moving on. What do you? So I barfed up my opinion about that. What do you guys think about?
I want to hear Brad. Just the last 3 records.
As a writer, or as a power in the band.
I think he's still as good as he ever was. I mean, I doing this show and listening to some of these later albums that I would put pretty low on our list. Listening to these albums from a different perspective as we're gonna do a show on them.
Right.
This chair is loud.
So just for everyone, we've been sitting here for a while.
Squeaky?
Obviously, Clint needed to adjust. But he sits down, and I look over, and the mic is like pointed into his sternum, and he's just kind of looking down, but not really moving it right away.
No, I'm just gonna take my time, dude.
Go on, Brad B.
But just listening to some of these albums from a different perspective, trying to really dig into them, man, there's some great songs on these albums.
How much of it is that you are conscious of maybe Eddie Vedder listening to you talk about it?
I think it has nothing to do with it.
You've never thought of that?
Like, while we're doing the show, like, I better say something nice about Eddie, because he
maybe
might hear this.
Maybe trying to find what's nice about the thing. Maybe in a private convo, you might not be as generous.
No, I'm being honest.
I can vouch for that. I
The
feel
only
like
time I think of that is when I do say shit that I think any one of them would find negative. I feel bad, but I don't.
Shame, yes. Shame comes in.
I don't.
Tell me about your childhood.
I'm sure I do a little bit edit myself, but I'd like to think that I'm pretty honest with my opinions.
Mm-hmm. I was sincerely asking.
And I'm telling you truthfully, I don't think I hold back.
Yeah, it's funny. The only thing I get weird about is like super personal shit.
You know,
about
what
a band member.
I think more. Yeah. Well, like, I feel worse about like people that listen to the show that I'm disagreeing with them and they're going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that bothers me.
Can you imagine it? Can you imagine getting upset about it? He doesn't like Backspacer.
God, I mean, I've said it a million times. I know the time is coming, but we haven't had any.
I got
Trolley
super
trolls.
mad one time, and I privately vented to you
Yeah,
guys.
you did. I loved it so much.
But that was because someone was going after. It wasn't because he disagreed about Pearl Jam. He kind of threw everything I love in one bag and shook
shit
it.
on it.
I just couldn't take it.
I've got the voice memo still.
I couldn't handle it, man.
Well, all right. So for me, the last 3 records, like Lightning Bolt, I think in some ways it might be higher than where I ranked it. Now, I think it's just one of those things where, I mean, something like No Code or Yield has been such a part of my life for so long that I just couldn't ever, even though I love like Lightning Bolt. And I'm not saying it is a better record than any of those. I'm just saying with a band like this, like Metallica's the same way for me. It's like you asking for top 10 songs. Some of them were really easy, but then some of it's really hard because there's always those back spots where it's like, is this because this is what I've been listening to by them most recently, or is it really because I think this is their 8th best song? You know what I mean? But I know I told you, we talked about when Lightning Bolt came out, I was really afraid that I keep waiting for that record to come out where you're like, oh, they got old. It sucks.
Yeah.
And I did not feel that way about Lightning Bolt at all. You know what I mean?
I think they're unlikely to do that.
Think they'll quit it before they.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to quit. I think they're going to make quality record because it's such a democracy. Everyone's writing.
Right.
If Eddie really had taken over the ship, and it was the Eddie with backing band vibe, I think that the danger of making a shit record would be way higher.
Yeah. Way high. Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys this: do you think he is an underrated songwriter?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about that. Like, we all know him. He's kind of like a Bono type.
Right.
He would fall into maybe not as big as Bono, but he's kind of like a Freddie Mercury, Bono.
Because he's always referred to as a vocalist.
Michael Stipe and all this. But he, I don't know if he gets the credit he deserves as a songwriter.
Especially with bridges.
They all write cool
They all
bridges,
write crazy fucking bridges.
They write pretty unconventional songs. Even I was watching Faithful last night, and it's like, verse, chorus, 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 verse.
Yeah.
That is an odd arrangement.
Yeah. But it all feels, it flows.
It feels like a song that's always existed.
Yeah.
But even when he gets tapped to write for Dead Man and Man of the Hour, this him, as a songwriter.
Right.
Fuck, those are great songs.
Dead Man is incredible.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Me too.
Well, I feel like Corduroy I'd be happy to just sit and hear him play that song acoustic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's strong as shit.
I kind of don't dig how fast they play it live. We were talking about Given to Fly last night, and
fast.
The one on Single Video Theory, it's like, oh, I remember this version.
Yeah.
They played it at normal tempo and let it breathe.
Yeah. Well, in that version with Jack on it, I haven't heard that in a while.
I haven't watched Single Video Theory in like 10 years.
Yeah. In the amount of live versions I've heard of that song since I've heard the Single Video Theory version, it's just like, holy shit. Like, this sounds so cool.
But it's hard to, we talk about how, like, Matt can't do the In My Tree Jack Iron stuff the way that Jack did. And, they're not the same person, so I get it. And I think what Matt does is totally serviceable. But the thing about Given to Fly is he can't do all that cool Tom stuff if it's 800 BPM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't remember what version it was. It's something fairly recent. Maybe it was from one of the European shows or something. But I had my guitar next to me, and I was doing a drop for Even Flow. It was Even Flow live, and so I grabbed my guitar, and I was like, I haven't played this in forever. So fucking fast. I had a really hard time playing that verse, that main riff. It's
almost like they just want to get it over with.
Yeah.
But it's also the punk rock stuff. Energy from the crowd. They're just amped up. They're bored of playing it the same way a million times.
Yeah.
I get all that.
And they play super long shows.
And they play long ass shows.
Yeah.
Always have, kind of.
Yeah.
Since they had enough material.
Level shows.
Yep.
As far as length.
Well, and like I said, they played in Paducah last night. They did two
at the Tequila
two
Cowboy.
Encores. Did I say that already?
What?
They played 2 encores
for
the first time.
But yeah,
in the last 2 months.
So was it like a legit encore? Like the crowd was just going so crazy that they were like, "Well, fuck it, let's play 8 more songs."
People finally stood up and clapped. So then they were like, "Well, we should go back out."
There's an app on your phone that makes a clapping sound. They just hit that button.
Oh,
yeah, and held the goddamn phone up. Look good through my iPad.
Oh God. Well, I don't know. That might be the last 3 records might be a good place to stop.
Or the next 3 records.
What do you think?
We could stop there.
I hope Eddie hears this and knows how much I love him.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that at the very beginning of the episode before the intro music starts. Just that. No context. Yeah, let's grab that.
It's hard to talk about a man who is so important to all 3 of us, and we don't really know him.
Yeah.
It's one of the weirdest things about being like there's people who like music, and music's good for the gym, and maybe they'll go see a Dave Matthews concert or something.
Right.
Yeah, man.
But for those of us who, this dude has been like a guide, a guide through my whole fucking life. And so in some ways it's so personal, and I feel so close to him, but in other more real ways, he's a complete stranger.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, dude, that goes back to Vinnie Paul. I don't know the guy. I met him once at a record thing. But when I heard that he passed away, it really kind of fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if it's shame or what that feeling is like. I feel terrible and I feel sad, but there's a part of me that's like, why? I didn't even know the guy.
Well, because he made an impact.
Yeah, because something he'd made from far away was such a positive force in your life. Mm-hmm. And for that to be gone is sad. Yeah. It's just straight up sad.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like in some ways, like I can thank Eddie as a person that I don't know for my stubbornness when it comes to music. I don't think it was ever intentional, but like I just always just kept
taking a cue from his lead, like
in a general sense, just like you just keep doing it. Mm. It's not about this one thing, putting all your stock in this one musical thing you might do. It's just like, this is what you do. You just keep doing it.
And even on less like philosophical terms, even like in songwriting, what he's done influences me. Like, I think about a lot, and I bring this to writing rooms all the time, is like on Brain of Jay when he says the whole world will be relieved. Yeah. The way he mispronounces relieved to phonetically make it fit, and just the lack of it wasn't like a sacred thing. You can do anything you want with words, which the Red Hot Chili Peppers are kind of masters of that. Mm-hmm. Some of their lyrics are insane, but they sound great. They make a collage of imagery that works, and that Eddie was my teacher for that. Right. I can't think of other examples right now, but the whole world will be relieved. I think about all the time. He does that all the time. Well, I come from a genius, Yeah. Just to make it fit the phrasing.
Yeah. Well, I think for them too, like from a songwriting perspective, not just Eddie, but the unconventional arrangements that they do
there's almost a fearlessness in it.
Yeah.
They don't care about the rules.
But it's natural. It still comes across as natural.
It's not like some forced Dream Theater proggy shit.
Yeah. But it's weird shit sometimes,
weird. Super weird. And I love in the middle records where they have the boys all panned hard right and left. They would even credit Stone as like guitar right, Mike guitar left, Eddie guitar center. And even just with the weird arrangements, hearing all their different note choices and how they weave in and out, they really did a lot of cool shit like that. Like even a song like Present Tense. You got the one kind of crunchy guitar, the one clean guy, Stone playing that acoustic.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I know I've brought it up in an episode before, but it seems to me pretty obvious how much Mike has influenced Stone and Stone has influenced Mike. Yeah. Because it seems like when Stone started like stepping out a little bit with leads here and there's still something a little bit Mike about them. Absolutely. Sometimes. You know what I mean? Not trying to copy him or anything, but that's the guy who he's been in a band with and listening to play lead for however many
I remember decades. My dumb aesthetic when I was a kid, the 10 days was like, well, Stone plays a Les Paul and that's rhythm. Mike plays a Stratocaster and that's lead. Yeah. And I remember like thinking like if one of them wasn't playing one of those two guitars, I was like, that doesn't look right. That's not right. And like, some of Stone's solos, the Brain of Jay solo is awesome.
Hell yeah.
He just has a different color. Speaking of color, the stuff he does on Lightning Bolt, all the like tasty ambient stuff that you would expect to be Mike is Stone.
It's all Stone, yeah.
So they do kind of change roles.
That's such a good on My Father's Son. That's such a cool guitar song.
And I think because that's Stone.
There's no like big power chords or
same thing with Infallible because I believe it's Mike who plays bass on Infallible.
Oh really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Plays 6-string bass.
No shit.
So all the color and all that shit is Stone.
Wow.
And all the good colory stuff. And when Lightning Bolt first came out, for those of you who don't know, my niche as a guitar player is like ambient guitar playing, delay pedals and reverb pedals, blah blah blah. When that record came out, we were listening to it. My wife's not a big fan of Pearl Jam, but we were listening to Sirens, and she was like, "This sounds like stuff you would play," which I thought was a hell of a compliment.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you're getting a compliment like that from your wife, it's real. This far into the game.
Yeah, right.
Oh, this sounds like something you would play.
She was like, "Don't mock me when I'm complimenting you."
Did you do that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Don't mock me when I'm complimenting.
No.
No, I said thank you very much. It means a lot that you said that.
Broke down.
Man. Well,
She gets me.
we've got another podcast to do, my friend.
Yeah.
Clint, thank you.
Thanks for coming to my house.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
I like seeing both of you alive.
HQ2?
We're at HQ2.
Cool.
We're about to burn down and melt up your podcast episode.
Hell yeah.
And to all your listeners, thanks for having me again. Thanks
Yeah.
for letting me talk about one of my favorite bands of all time, one of my musical heroes, Eddie Mueller.
Eddie Severson
The third.
Well, seriously, thanks a lot for doing this with us, and we'll do it again soon. You got anything else, Brad B? We cover it all?
No, but
Well,
we'll
This
get
is
for
Brad
this first
Blazek
one.
saying, a Columbus decanter.
Are you ready? You got it? You got it? Nope. No.
Oh, boy.
Keep stalling. Good God.
How did you blow this? Don't you do it every episode
He
now?
does
Yes.
it every episode.
Except last week, I was good.
I gotta get rid of this cough.
I'll just sing some more Wilson Phillips
Is
if you
it
want.
you're trying to look up the lyric that you wanted to
No.
use, or you have no
I've
fucking
got-
clue what you're gonna do?
No, I've got a ton of stuff,
All right.
but I try to.
I know that there's pain. Hold on for one more day. Break free from the chain.
Hold on for one more
Day.
All right.
Oh, you ready now?
I think I'm ready.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again to Clint. Yeah, hold on. Thanks again to Clint Wells from Metal Up Your Podcast.
Happy to be here.
And until next time, I'm Brad Lyons.
And I'm Clint Wells.
And I'm Brad Blazek saying, if I knew where it was, I would take you there.
Oh!
I dig it.
There's much more than out there. There's much more than out there.
That's it.
Who knows what
That
he's-
there.
No one knows what
Much
he says
more
right
than
there.
that there. That there's the end. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I died and you just I died and you watched. I died and you walked by and said no. I'm dead.
You wanted to say something
Much more
else.
than this.
Which there's much. If I knew
There's
where
much
it
more than
was,
this.
I would take you there. There's much more than out there. That's what I've always heard.
Then this.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
There-
Farm.
there's more than that. You need a longer cable. Also need a longer iPhone cable.
I've never had a problem with it.
Table 7, your pizza's ready. In fact, it's overdone.
I'll be here every Monday night from 4:30 to 6.
AM.
Do you want a copy of this stuff?
I don't have a fax machine or a Xerox.
I can.
You want to? You can scrape it onto a tombstone,
Yeah.
Oh, let's get started.
Okay.
or you can drive the ship if you got the most notes.
Yeah.
I'd rather you did, but
Yeah, the great
After last
the
week.
great experiment was rough. Good God.
yeah. He just threw that.
I
at
love
me
when
out of
you just
nowhere.
waited and there was just this long, and we're like, okay. You were just waiting. You're like, I'm waiting for you.
Yeah. No.
Move us in the next section, my friend.
Dude, you should do it.
No. I should do it when I know I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. You,
I need time to prepare and do notes. And just throwing me in the deep end. does
Hey,
not-
sink
does
or
not
swim,
work.
does
homie.
not work.
And I sunk.
But you will do it better the next time you try it.
Yeah,
Believe
you just
that.
gotta keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because you'll think about. There won't be a pause that long ever again.
No.
There won't. That was
Yeah,
the
because
last
I'll
one.
have my nerdy notes to look at. and
No,
be like,
because as
"That's
soon
when
as you
talk
hear a
about
pause, your little butthole's going to pucker up. And you're like,
Yeah.
not again. Hey, what are we doing again? We're going to go into emails.
it." Yeah, that.
All right, can we hold on a sec? Hold on. Can we just? All right, we gotta edit this out. Hold on a second.
I love that because you never do.
No.
We'll edit this out, and you're always like, nope. Can we edit that out? Oh, no. Nope.
Absolutely not. All right. Okay.
Which does cut into the sincerity a little bit.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to...
I wasn't expecting multiples.
That's my favorite part of the entire show.
I wasn't expecting multiples.
I saw the one spike and I was like, hey, oh. He's doing.
You got to make them easy to find,
He's
man.
got a 3-point system here.
Go ahead. Every time. Do you do it on purpose?
No, I don't.
What are you doing?
You got a beer?
I got about 100 beers in there.
Oh, they're packed.
It's like all bus stock. Like I can't keep enough of it. There you go.
Look at this. The guy who doesn't drink
No.
at noon.
He was
or
cr-
11:20.
He was crushing some bourbon last night.
What? You all right, bud? We need to talk.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
I'll walk you through the 12 steps.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's do this.